Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
So culture's the secret sauce. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Today is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. It's 15th, yeah. He's Olin Buchanan. He's our Heisman Trophy voter. He's our columnist. He's our friend. And I'm David Nuño. Olin, good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
What's up with you?
Good. Feeling good. A lot better. Not nearly as lethargic as I was yesterday.
Yeah.
Feel like saying something outrageous, but I don't know if we have anything outrageous to say.
No, there's nothing outrageous, but, Coach Elko spoke last night at the Fort Worth Coaches Night, and I picked a couple things for us to kind of chew on this morning because there's always a good jump-off point when he says certain things. So let's go back to the one I just read a moment ago from last night. Richard Zane's covering it for us. Thank you, Richard. Culture is the secret sauce. Culture and leadership bring programs a long way. If the culture would have been, there's more to it right there. If we can build a tremendous culture with tremendous leadership, with tremendous direction, that can go a long way. I think that's the secret sauce that we're going to bring Texas A&M. If they had the right culture in place in the previous regime, the previous regime would still be here.
Yes, they would.
There were some other issues, no doubt, offensive inadequacies or inability to move the ball at times, but.
You had time. I'm of the mind that had the previous coach let the previous offensive coordinator call his offense, the previous offensive coordinator's offense, not the previous coach's offense.
That the guy was calling.
That the previous regime would be the current regime.
Look, there are, but it became apparent when you. Where was this? I was listening to somebody.
Right. You're right. The culture. I think A&M had a broken culture that extended from the coaching staff down to not all players, but a lot of the players, and that there was too many people not pulling in the same direction, and they didn't. Because of that, they did not maximize their talent and opportunity.
So Matt Moscona, who I like a lot, went on with Jake Crane. I told you I listened to him this weekend. And one of the things he talked about, like it's going to be a study, the A&M 22 class, of all the money spent, which I still disagree with. I mean, because we have the facts and others don't, but whatever. But the one thing that I will say is when you bring in that magnitude of talent, they better all be on the same page, or they better take their cues from the guys in front of them. And there better be some leadership in place and accountability in place. And again, part of that is, of course, we're going to blame Jimbo. Part of it was a shift in college athletics that happened at the same time as that is happening that I don't think they were prepared for mentally on how to, this guy can just leave if I yell at him. I don't know if I can yell at him. Like there's certain things that were in place that started happening that I don't think they were ready to evolve with.
Maybe. There may be certain things that, look, like if you yell at a guy, maybe you got to come to this realization. If a guy will leave because, you yell at him, or because for not doing his job, or not hustling, or not practicing hard, or not showing up to team meetings, then maybe you're better off without that guy, no matter how talented he is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, in a nutshell, what kind of like Coach Elko's getting at.
This is how we do business. And I preach this to my kids. And by the way, I cannot parent my kids all the same way.
True.
Although sometimes I do. Like sometimes there's a blanket way of,
right.
But like the way I reach out to Isla is different than the way I talk to the twins, and is different the way I talk to Annalise. And that's hard for me because like to me, a lot of things are black and white. You either do it right or you do it wrong. But I've got to adapt to the kid.
Right.
And the kid's got to adapt to me.
Coaches that I've known before have often told me, not just one or two, it's the majority, like part of coaching is figuring out how to motivate. Some guys you don't have to motivate. Eric Casares is probably going to go out there and run 10 miles a day because that's what he does.
Right.
But sometimes you might have to, hey, come on, Eric, you can do this. Come on, you got it out there, and you can do it, okay? And he says, yeah, I can do it. Or you say, look, you lazy, whatever, blah, 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 expletive. Get your expletive out there and do your expletive job.
But I think sometimes...
And different guys are going to respond differently.
100% what you just said. But I also think there are different seasons in a season. So let me see if I can explain it better. That was terrible. My kids sometimes have these coaches that are disciplinarians. After 2 or 3 years of that, we see in the NBA and the NFL, you go more to a player's coach. And like sometimes you have to adapt. The culture in the program has to change based on what has been established already. So this program, to me, probably doesn't need a disciplinarian sergeant, but needs a standard that has to be met, an arm on your shoulder sometimes, and also a reminder, hey, this is how we do things here.
Yeah, well, I think, maybe not the disciplinarian taskmaster, that those days may be gone. Hell, Frank Cush was fired in the 70s for being too hard at Arizona State. But
right.
But I do think you can be no nonsense without being the taskmaster. And by the way, discipline is still very important. So I think you can make it very clear that we're not going to do certain things. And if you're not going to give effort, you're not going to be here. Because now with NIL, here's the other side of NIL to the players. I can cut you. Because, maybe before, you got your scholarship and everything. Yep. But now, hey, you're getting X amount of money on NIL and you're not doing your part. So I don't think they'd use the word cut. But basically, I can tell you, you're not a part of our plans. And then that coach could go, hey, you know what? You know who's actually doing a good job? This guy and this guy. So why don't we redirect some of that NIL
reallocate those dollars
to people that are actually doing the job? So, there's two. This is a two-way street now. It's like Highway 6. This is going to go both ways. Sometimes it's not. The players have a lot more power than they ever have, and the coaches can't be disciplinarians like that. But maybe they can decide who actually is going to get that money, or help decide.
If you routinely show up late to meetings, there should be a penalty, right? If you when we have meetings here, right? If it starts at 11, unless you have an excuse, be here at 11, right? If there's something going on, if Billy has to go meet with a sponsor, he can't show up an hour late. I can't show up or miss it completely, or not call and say, hey, we have this. That's how the real world works.
Yeah.
And it works that way across the street. I'm not saying it didn't work that way before, but I think maybe it was situationally handled, right? Here, this is the standard. You show up on time. This is the standard. Practice begins now. You're here. If I tell you to run a certain route, you're running a certain route. To me, it's that simple. And you need to have, though, as I think Schloss has said on this show before, I'm sure Jimbo said it, you need players to lead other players, right? Mm-hmm. Torian York, a great example. He seems to me as a guy, and I'm not how many practices we get to go to and for how long. He seems to be the kind of guy that guys, it's time to focus. It's rep time. Let's go. You need that.
Maybe the disciplinarian has to be the player.
Yeah.
Now, old school was usually, if you don't do this, you're going to answer to me. I'm gonna mess you up. And sometimes guys meant it. I don't know if he was if he was, quote, the disciplinarian or whatever of the team. One of my favorite stories was I actually didn't know I wasn't supposed to be in a spring practice one time, and I went in.
Okay.
And by the time they saw me and ran me out, do you remember a guy named I always loved it. It was a fullback in 93-94 from Lake Highlands, Detron Smith.
Of course I remember Detron, yeah.
And they had a linebacker named Jesse Cox. And they were practicing, and Jesse was just cheap shotting everybody all over the place. Jesse eventually left the program. And people would get up and complain, hey, what are you doing? And he, anyway, long story short, after about the 7th or 8th time he cheap shotted somebody, Detron got about a 10 or 15 yard running start and blew him up from behind. He hit him in the back.
All right.
Knocked Jesse about 10 feet. Jesse got up, turned around, ready to fight, and he saw it was Detron, and it was okay.
It's all right.
And so
I'll chill out of here.
Maybe you're going to have more players like the coach can't do it so much.
But the players can do it.
And the players where the program is really important to them.
Yep.
And you've got to find those players that, everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants to make money. But you still got to find those guys that the program is important to them. And those guys, I think, they may have 3 stars, but I think those guys are going to be the most valuable asset you can have in college sports moving forward. The guys that truly care. Because if you're playing for a paycheck, you're not always going to be given the best effort, I think.
Yep.
I think Walter Nolan's a perfect example.
Here's one, because a lot of people talk about what left Texas A&M, okay? Mm-hmm. The people that left, which, by the way, I don't remember a lot of starters leaving. There's some starters that left, but I don't. How about Coach Elko on the transfer portal haul that they've had? We've added some really, really talented players. I would anticipate 7 to 8 starters and 16 or so impact players coming out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, well, Scorton is going to be a starter. Maybe the kid from Kansas,
Will Lee.
Maybe he's the one from Kansas State, Will Lee.
Kansas State.
The linebacker from Pitt.
Armaj Reed, the offensive lineman. Yep.
The linebacker from Pitt. Perhaps the tight end from Fresno
Solomon
State.
DeShields. Yep. Nick, if you can put up, I don't know if you have the transfer haul. We can kind of go over that. There we go. So look, just go down the list of people that I'm excited about.
Yes,
Garrett
Trey
Miller.
Jones.
Trey Jones for sure.
Maybe so. Will Lee.
Cyrus Allen, the
may
wide receiver.
Work himself in there. Barber probably would have been. Jaden Hill at nickel.
Scooby Williams potentially in that linebacker crew right there. Rodis Johnson had a nice spring.
I don't think Scooby will if DeShields is.
Right. There's our Marge Reed Adams that you talked about on the O-line.
Desmond Ricks,
who we haven't seen yet, but we're
Trey
super
Watson.
excited about him. Cassius Howell, a name that we need to start paying attention to.
So and I've been having a senior moment. Who's the guy that was a productive player here that went to that defensive end that went to number 10? He went to Syracuse.
Yeah, Fidel Diggs.
Gosh, why? Like I said, senior moment. And you hate to lose a guy who is productive, but I have to believe that you upgraded with Nick Scorton.
I mean, he is supposed to be a first-round pick, one of the top transfers out there in the entire country of any position. Yeah.
Would you rather have Fidel Diggs here? Yes.
Yes.
With Nick Scorton. But if you had to pick.
I'm picking Nick.
Probably so.
Nick at Night. Your favorite channel, Nickelodeon.
So I would hope so. I would hope that Nick Scorton is an upgrade. Not that Fidel Diggs wasn't good, but there are other places. You lost some guys and you're like, I don't know if it's not addition by subtraction.
So there's another quote I want to get into. We'll do it on the other side. People are asking about the defensive quote that Coach Elko had. I'm going to save that one for Billy Liucci to talk about because Billy's going to be with us today on a Wednesday. He's got some other things happening the rest of the week, so we're flipping it around. Recruiting Country will now be on Friday after the baseball bunch. We've got some other cool things that we're working on Friday as well.
So Friday's like
and you're not here Friday, right?
I'm not.
Gosh, bless.
Well, maybe I will.
Gosh, yes.
Let me let you know.
It's TBD.
Well, it's kind of.
Aren't we all?
I'm heading down to San Antonio for my my nephew's graduation from UTSA.
Okay.
And
that's on Thursday night?
It's on Friday.
Okay.
But it was my understanding that we needed to just go early. There was a lot of things going on, but then I thought I heard my wife mention working, and if she works, then I'm gonna at least come in and do the show at least.
Right. Okay. Well,
lot of good things going on in the
Buchanan
family. The Buchanan / Vega / Jeffries. You know, got a niece who's coming up here to go to school.
All right.
And she likes soccer.
She's smart.
So her parents bought her, she and Irma, tickets to the Mexico-Brazil game.
Economic development right there, buddy. Coffee's going to be popping.
I'm sure it will be.
All right, let's go around the room and say hello to the people. This is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of the mornings by going to texags.com.
Well, they'll sell a lot of coffee for that game.
You think so?
Well, you know, Latinos seem to really like coffee. The ones I've been around.
Yeah, all the Latinos. Well, you are around a lot, I should say. you are around one every morning and one every day of your life.
Every day, and is that wrong? I mean, am I wrong?
No.
Is your experience that does coffee seem to be very popular among?
Believe it or not, I believe Anglos like coffee.
Well, I don't. I believe that too, even though I don't drink any coffee.
No, I will say in the Cuban community, we're more espresso.
Well, but isn't that in the coffee family?
It's in the family. Yes.
I bet you that Gual Plomo could probably come up with some TexAgs espresso if you need.
Oh, could he?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for him to invite me to do the show with you there
in El Salvador, which is they've done some
you
great.
You did it with Gabe, but
they've done some great things in El Salvador.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Among those is the coffee.
TexAgs coffee upstairs. Sure, very good. In fact, hold on. Let me have a commercial drink.
Because Latinos like it.
Did you say Latinos?
Latinos.
Oh, okay. All right, let's say hi to Nick Savage. Very Latino there behind the glass. Nick, good morning.
Yeah, very. Oh, that's Olin, not
Hey,
Nick.
Olin.
Hey,
very Latino as
how are
well.
y'all doing today?
Hey, man. Is it awkward this morning yet?
Do you like TexAgs coffee?
Yes, of course I do. Yeah.
So do you drink coffee?
Oh, yeah. I drink. Here it is right here. I drink it all the time. And nothing but TexAgs coffee. TexAgs coffee. Drink it now.
Presented by TexAgs.com.
Beat the hell out of morning.
We're going to beat the hell out of that morning.
Exactly.
Brother.
Sorry. Randy Savage is now
I'm not doing that on air because I think I've told this story before, but y'all made me do that like my first couple times running the show, and the first thing Billy ever said to me, he came in here and he was like, that was the worst freaking Randy Savage impression I've ever heard. That's the first thing he ever said to me. I was like, oh, great. But I did want to say, I got a text from I guess you could say first-time viewer today.
First time?
Dalton Hughes, first-time viewer.
Daltonian.
He's usually working on the show, but he's watching us for the first time today. So what's up, Dalton?
He's in the real world now, realizing I'm in the real world now, brother.
Go get your floors, brother.
Good for him.
Hey, he's living the good life in the Metroplex. I miss him.
He's going to have the weekends off.
Will he?
Do you really? As
you
a,
don't.
As a father, do you
when
really
you have a kid, there's no time off.
What? You're right.
Remember before kids, you could have a nap if you really want. Now you might fall into a nap, but you can't plan a nap. There's no doubt. Like
you got to drink a lot of TexAgs coffee because you got to be awake.
It's really good, by the way.
I don't drink coffee.
I know,
if I did, I'd probably drink the.
But
TexAgs.
maybe we should experiment.
I have tried coffee. I don't like it. I don't like coffee ice cream. But if I did like coffee, I'm sure it'd be Guayo Palomo straight from El Salvador, TexAgs coffee, and I would beat the hell out of morning, brother.
Nick, anything of substance you want to add to the program this morning?
Actually, not really. It's kind of a slow Wednesday, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's. Hopefully, they can get game one in tomorrow night.
Can you give me a weather update? Can you at least do that for me?
It's like 97% chance of rain tomorrow, the last time I looked.
They need to just dome.
Over an
Bluebell.
inch.
Hey, you know what?
I mean, they're going to put $80 million into it. I don't know where they're going to get the $80 million.
Let's go play at Minute Maid. Or we can play in Fort Worth.
Whatever.
Whatever.
All right. Let's
the Aggie Dome.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. That's where we find Eric Casares.
You like
Track.
Do you like coffee, Eric?
No. I've never been a big coffee guy.
Okay, there's he disproves my theory right there.
Now I went through a mocha. I went through a mocha stage though. I will say, yeah. I'm actually I never got past the mocha stage. I'm a big
it's in the family.
I'm a big chocolate type hot cocoa kind of guy. So
okay.
you kind of get the mix of both of it in a mocha, but you don't get the gross coffee taste. I'm sorry guys. I know it's a hot take, but it's just not my best.
Do you like tequila?
Do I like tequila? No, I would never drink alcohol. Come on, David.
Okay. I was just going to go Olin on you because.
Man, you guys are. Maybe I need to. I was thinking Latinos like coffee, right? Because I just assumed, and now Eric, sorry, just shut that down. And then I'm around 2 Latinos that don't drink tequila.
This might be the most times I've heard the word Latino, not only in the Go Hour, in my life in a show.
Really?
David, did you ever grow up watching pro wrestling?
Of course I did, yeah.
Did you like Eddie Guerrero, Latino Heat? Do you remember that?
Nah, I mean, I was more into Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and like that, and Ric Flair back in that era. I'm talking like
Macho, that's a Spanish
mid-80s.
word, is it not?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So back
Spoken by Latinos quite frequently.
By the way, you know Macho Man's brother? Do you know this one?
Macho Man's brother, no.
He had a real brother who was a wrestler.
Nacho Man?
Leaping Lanny Poffo.
I thought maybe, Macho and Nacho.
His dad, Randy Poffo, I think. Something like that. Famous wrestler as well. Anywho, can we actually talk about sports?
Yeah.
Finally?
Well, so
Sorry, Billy.
I know you wanted to save that text message about the best defense, so we'll get to that with Billy later. But I did have another text message for you, David. It says, "Hey, David, good morning.
Hey,
if the number 1 recruiting class of 2022 had stayed intact, would this year have been the breakout year?"
No, I don't know. I mean, last year was supposed to be the breakout year. It's supposed to be, no, I don't know.
You know what? When I go back and look at that class, you know where it did seem to be, for lack of a better word, deficient?
Donde?
It was in the offensive line.
Yeah. But the previous
group
was pretty good.
Yeah.
You felt good about Father. You felt good about Bryce Foster.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if you look at that 2022 class, you had the receivers, the tight ends, a lot of things to be defensive linemen, like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you didn't have any good offensive linemen. I'm just saying it was.
I don't think you had
Was the talent equally distributed?
It was not.
Okay.
It was not. But again, we wouldn't be having this discussion if they won games, right? And they didn't win games, in my opinion, based on not getting the right skill position players. I think there was too many flaws up top. The pyramid crumbled, right? Or the reverse pyramid crumbled. You didn't have a good foundation. You didn't have a good philosophy offensively.
That's for sure.
At times, you didn't have a good defensive philosophy.
That's for sure.
You had a lot of young kids running the show. And at the end of the day, it was too many issues, not just one.
I think sometimes you can really do well by kicking a really good player off the team.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. People respond to that sometimes.
They do.
So
NBA, NFL, you've seen it.
I saw it happen with my beloved Dallas Cowboys back when they were good.
Who do they kick off?
A guy named Kervin Richards.
In the 1800s?
Went around the 90s.
Oh, like 40 years ago, 30 years
He fumbled, and they said, "You're gone." Everyone went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" They went on to win the Super Bowl.
By the way, always have been. I told you the other day that I didn't grow up a Cowboys fan. I've always been a Jimmy Johnson fan. Always. How can you not be?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I'm a huge Jimmy Johnson fan.
Yeah.
I wish he was my coach now.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break. We're way late. Sorry, Louie. Blame it on this guy.
Yeah, blame it on me. I had too much coffee this morning.
Blame it on the white Latino. All right, here we go. Career opportunities at the Association of Former Students.
Güero.
¿Cómo estás? All right, anyway, can we talk about jobs? This show's off the rails already. Let's, if you need a job, if you want to move back to this area, you should look into the Association of Former Students. That they're looking to hire professionals to join their team. They got positions in many different areas. So if you have somebody you're thinking about right now, or if you need a job and you've got fundraising experience, you've got marketing experience, it's a great place to go. Former Student Programs, they're the premier alumni association and the oldest organization serving A&M, and they play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss opportunities to help out the association with their great events like the Howdy Socials, the Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, selfless service, all in support of the worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to get more information on each position. It's the association.
Whenever I think of the Village People, I think of David Nuño.
That's interesting.
Because he's a macho man.
Because I think of you.
No, really?
Yeah. The Postman? Is it the Postman? Who else have they got on that? Let's give Village People characters at TexAgs.
Let's not.
We want to keep our jobs, is what you're saying.
Yeah. You know what? Those were some catchy tunes.
There's
back in the day. I think I was in high school when the Village People peaked.
You're the guy in the black hat. That's who you are. I'll show you a picture later.
I know there was a guy in an Indian headdress. I remember that.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan here. Opie. Baseball announces extension of Section 12.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Let's get that bad boy packed. It's always packed. But let's. This is a weekend where the 12th man.
For this weekend, they're somehow extending it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
that the area beyond the outfield? On the outfield?
I believe that is the case, yeah. So this is a weekend, though, that because they have been struggling a tad bit, let's let the 12th man give them a little oomph that they need. I'm trying to think the last.
I don't think there's any question that'll be.
What's it, the Georgia series, where I really, you always feel it no matter what, but that Georgia series, I really felt it there in the stands. Arkansas coming in, their offense is not great. The weather's going to play a role in this, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out. But if you get the Prager that you got, you get the Sadeo that you got, I think the bats are eventually going to get back to normal.
Yeah, but you know what? Arkansas can really pitch, so. You may have to win some games 4-3.
Yeah.
And, they can. They can.
They can.
We've been seeing it.
They can beat you multiple ways. Yeah.
Prager, last 2 times out, has pitched really well and hasn't won. But pitched really games that you should win. So, you know what you got to do? You got to take advantage when those opportunities come, and you got to make. You got to avoid, especially this week, the big errors.
Defensively, play clean. Pitch from ahead, right? It'd be great to get a first inning bomb like we've gotten so many times from one of the trio.
Sometimes base running has been a little bit of an issue. Yeah.
But if you play with the lead, Prager at home, and by the way, Hagen Smith, from all reports, all stats, he's the best pitcher in the SEC. So you're going to have to face him, their version of Paul Skeens, if you will. But beyond that, and by the way, that's not to say that they can't tag him, because people have.
Yeah, go out there and just play A&M's best version of A&M baseball.
Yeah. All right, let's since we went so long on that first segment, let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, some more football for you. You got something you want to say? Your face looks like you want to say something.
Off the air.
Off the air. All right, we'll get into that. By the way, I don't think I said it on the air, but we're going to have Jace Carter in studio with Luke Hillin at the end of the show. They're going to come in and talk about some of Buzz Williams' camps coming up, but I'm sure some off-season chatter will happen with those two, and it'll be a good chat.
Yeah, something to look forward to.
I did mention Billy being here. Billy will be here at 10 o'clock, and then after that we'll have Luke and Jace Carter here. Right now we're talking Heritage Films. That's Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films about families. They do it about family businesses. They do it about family ranches and just cool events that you do together, right? With your buddies, with your wife, with your kids, whatever cool thing that you all do, let Chance and his team be an eye in the sky, capture that moment in a professional setting, the setting is what it is, but he will capture it professionally, and you'll have a documentary done on the big event. So it could be a golf outing that you do with your buddies every weekend. It could be camping. It could be family business, the way your ranch started. It could be just a cool story from your grandfather, right? Some of the stories that your family has passed on. You want to have that documented. And remember, we're not promised tomorrow, so get this done. This could be a great Father's Day gift here in a couple of weeks. So make sure you think about Chance McClain and his team there. They also do the Year Flicks, which is a shorter option. It's 20-minute Q&A video, more reserved for the younger kids, right? You can have it from freshman year of college to their sophomore year. Do another one. Do it when they get their Aggie ring. Do it when they graduate, when they get married. 5-part series right there, done the right way. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. Yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. This is the Go Hour, OB. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
It's because I'm here.
Yeah, we're going. That's presented by somebody, though.
CC Creations.
The warehouse there.
Yeah, the warehouse there.
You should go and find some TexAgs.
I have before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got some good stuff there.
They do.
The twins work there in the summers. So if you see a pair of twins, say hi. Say, hey, I know your dad. And they'll be like, cool.
Christian and Cruz.
Christian and Cruz.
I'd have to say, which one is Christian and which one's Cruz?
Christian's now got the new hairstyle. It's not new. It's been around for a year where everybody's like wearing it low, like long on like shaggy in front of their eyes. Cruz has still got the military cut.
I will say this. I've met them both a couple of times, right? And they are extremely polite.
Thank you.
Well-mannered. Every time I meet them, I'm so impressed with the job Elizabeth has done.
She's done a
them.
great job, hasn't she? She has. She's done a wonderful job. We'll move on from family time here on TexAgs Radio to one more little quote. It's not little, it's a big quote, because this is for the last 2-3 years. If you could take one soundbite from us, or one talking point from us to talk about Aggie football, what it all falls on, we go back to the same point. We agree here. What is that? There's a lot, but there's one that we talk about a lot.
What?
Offensive line.
Scheme don't matter.
Offensive line.
Offensive line.
Because I still maintain, I mean, maybe I'm wrong here. All the mistakes made across the street. If they blocked, they win. They win 9 games a year.
Yeah. I mean,
to me, it's that simple.
We say it all the time. You've never seen a great team with a bad offensive line.
So let's talk about what Coach Elko had to say about that, shall we? Here it is Coach Elko on the offensive line. I understand where that unit was a year ago. I watched the tape. I do feel good about where that group is moving forward.
Okay.
What has he done? Everything that he's done so far is he's identified an issue. He's gone to fix it.
Right.
High school coaches fixed it.
Yep.
Discipline?
Apparently, some guys have left because they didn't want to be part of what he's selling. They said, all right.
Okay. Secondary was an issue. Did he go out and get some guys?
Got a bunch of them.
Okay.
Got the feeling it's going to be pretty good.
Offensive line. It's not the same offensive line as last year. It's not. There'll be some parts of it.
There'll be some same offensive linemen, but not the same offensive line.
Not the same offensive line coach, not the same philosophy, and some new personnel.
He fired the offensive line coach within the first couple of days that he was here.
Yeah.
Which I applauded.
So if he feels good about the offensive line, and look, I know this time of year, everybody feels good about everything. You're rallying the troop. I do get that. But I'm going to take the quote for what it's worth today. Like, you can hear Coach Elko. Sometimes he'll avoid a topic, or he won't necessarily go into detail about a topic if he doesn't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
If he talks about the offensive line and he feels good about where they're at, then you know what? I feel good that he feels good.
Am I wrong for feeling that I'm a little more concerned about the receiving corps than I am the offensive line now?
I am more concerned about the offensive line because let me see if I can phrase this the way I want to. I'm more concerned about the offensive line because I know what it means to this season's success. But I feel better about where that group is than the TBD of the wide receiver group. Because, again, I feel great about the talent in the wide receiver room. I just want to see it play out throughout a full season.
And I'll say this, just like the offensive line, the receivers have a new coach that I think he'll actually do more coaching than his predecessor did.
Yep.
But right now, there's just not the numbers and not the – man, maybe it's just because I was such a big fan of Aniyah Smith and not having him here. I'm concerned about how they're going to replace that production.
Did you hear his mom yesterday?
I did not. I bet it was awesome.
We talked about you.
Really?
Yeah, we talked about you. I just said that you were in a weird situation because one of your favorite all-time players is Aniyah, and the team that you hate the most in the world is the Eagles.
It's true. It's true.
And she's a listener of the show. She's familiar with your work. She was awesome. It was a good combo. So, hey, I want to bring this up, and I'm not I don't think I test in the 130s in my IQ. I think I'm probably closer to
140s.
No, I'm not 19. No, I think I'm probably in the double digits, not the triple digits, but I don't know. I've never done a test. So there's a lot of information here that Ross Dellinger put out in his most recent report. I don't know if you saw it. Docs NCAA, which some of this information we've talked about, but now they have documents to kind of give you a little bit of evidence of where this is leaning. NCAA could face $20 billion in damages, bankruptcy, if proposed settlement offer isn't agreed upon. And I'm just going to read you a couple of the points. You can respond to them as we go. Power conferences stand to face a catastrophic $20 billion in back damages, as well as rising bankruptcy filing, according to documents obtained by Yahoo Sports. Goes on to say it's a 2-page document. Details the terms of a potential settlement in the House, Hubbard, and Carter antitrust cases, a trio of legal challenges brought on. And it says here, the settlement, though, believed to be in the final stages of adoption, consists of 3 main topics: billions back and back damages, a new compensation model permitting schools to share as much as $22 million annually with athletes capped system, and an overhaul of the NCAA scholarship and roster structure. Basically, no more walk-ons, I feel like could be, and Dabo's complaining about it, by the way, because you're going to be able to raise the scholarship number significantly, potentially your whole team.
Really? Raise the scholarship number?
Mm-hmm.
That seems counterproductive to what they're always talking about. Hey, money's going to be even harder to come by and things like that. So, again, you raise the scholarship limits, or, so now if we go for 85 to 90, that's 5 more scholarships you got to add to women's sports as well.
The NCAA is responsible for paying the amount of the $2.76 billion over a 10-year period, roughly $277 million. 60% of that is going to come, and listen to this, in a reduction in distribution to its schools.
Okay.
So 40% of the gap is going to come through the NCAA, and as much as $18 million annually.
Now, I wonder if the NCAA lawyers will come back and say, okay, but now as we start looking at this number, since we're paying, then we should be able to estimate the amount of money we spent on those athletes, on their education, on their lodging, on their food, on their, everything you gave them that they did receive. Should that not then be deducted from the total?
I don't think that's part of the settlement. I don't think that's
well, then I think the NCAA lawyers should at least argue for that. I mean, because you did get something. It's not like you got nothing. Yeah. My issue was not that I never thought that the schools should have to pay more than they already are. My issue was always the schools and the NCAA should have never said that you cannot make money on your name, image, and likeness. If somebody wants to pay you, Eric Casares, to go say, hey, when I'm hungry, I take a short run down to so-and-so and I eat whatever they have, because I'm Eric Casares, so come see me there at, wherever. Where do you like to eat, Eric?
Fuego's my favorite.
Okay, all right. So some could see me at Fuego's, and they want to pay him $10,000 to do that. He should have always had that ability to do that. But to say that the athletes weren't getting compensated is really not true.
Well, I'm going to read this part of it because I think this kind of talks to that. In what would be a significant element in the settlement, the court is expected to reaffirm the NCAA's remaining rules around compensation, including the prohibition on booster payments if they're not true NIL. It says the settlement's new enforcement infrastructure, which is the NCAA. So really specifically targeting a pay-for-play rules around booster-led NIL collectives and infrastructure supported by the court's affirmation of the NCAA compensation restrictions. So basically, back to what you're saying, what they want it to be is true NIL, not what NIL has become. But there's no way to get rid of the Wild West.
Okay, yeah, but so let's say I own a furniture store.
Okay.
And it's very successful. I'm Mattress Matt. I'm Ottoman Olin.
Ottoman, I like this.
You like that? Ottoman Olin. And I call it the Ottoman Empire.
What's your catchphrase?
I don't know yet.
Let's think about it.
Sofa, so good.
There you go.
Okay.
At the end of the commercial.
And I'm a booster for A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a A&M booster. Does that mean now that I can't hire somebody. I can't hire Eric Casares to come and say, after I've had a long run, I need to rest. I want to rest on this couch that I got from Ottoman Olin's Ottoman Empire because so far, so good.
Why
right?
do you have an accent when you say so?
I don't know. But anyway, does that mean I can't do that because I'm a A&M booster? Because I can say, well, why can't I support A&M and still have my own business that I have to that I want an athlete to promote it?
Well, I think in that case, in the real business, it'll be fine.
Okay.
Under the way I'm reading it.
All right.
But again, it's still going to be.
So you know everybody's going to cheat like crazy,
Of course
like they always
are.
do.
It's you know what? Players are going to make more money, even more than they're making now. All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs
So
Radio.
far, so good.
That was good. That was quick thinking. I can see a slogan. You got to do the thing. Say it to the camera. Say the whole thing.
So far, so good at Ottoman Olin's Ottoman Empire.
You should jump when you do it.
On one foot.
Sorry. You sometimes you're my toy on the show. I just do this for me. Entertain me, Olin. This is all right, Olin. By the way, when you jump and you get those joint pains and it hurts
All the time.
Yeah, well, especially when you do that, I got a place for you to call, QC Kinetics. If you want to jump and do commercials, you want to go hiking, you want to go biking, you want to go jogging, swimming, jiu-jitsu, you want to just do things. Maybe you just want to be able to run a little bit in the backyard with your kids, right? Throw the ball. Well, if you got joint pain and it's keeping you from doing it, you can't have the fun you want to have this summer, and that's not the way we want you to live. We want you to live your life to the fullest, and that's why you need to call QC Kinetics. Regenerative medicine protocols can restore and repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, no downtime. It is the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients around the country are living their best life this year because they made the call. And Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup is the guy who is the leader in this field, right? He's working there at QC Kinetics. He knew there had to be a better way. He's the pioneer who made it happen, and here it is in the Brazos Valley. Call QC Kinetics right now for your free consultation on revolutionary treatments for joint pain, and they're here. The phone number for QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
It's a good show. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour coming to a close here, brought to you by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Olin, right after the Go Hour yesterday, we didn't get to talk about this on the air, so we've found out that A&M's going to be hosting College Gameday for that Notre Dame game.
Not surprised.
No.
Now, some would say, how about Georgia Clemson? Okay. But Georgia Clemson is very regional, even though nationally I think it would still get a lot of attention. I think anytime you get Notre Dame involved, and then you start adding the stories within the story. Mike Elko was a coach there not too long ago. Like the Notre Dame quarterback was Mike Elko's quarterback last year. And,
what week was it last year? Was it last year? I think it was early in the season. Didn't Notre Dame and Duke play down? Maybe it wasn't early.
It was.
Was it early?
It wasn't early. It might have been toward the end of September or early October.
And Duke had a chance to win the game late, and then it's when Riley Leonard got hurt.
Yeah, they played the whole second half without Riley Leonard and almost won. And then I think Notre Dame picked up a big fourth down in the last minute, and then in the last 2 minutes, then the last minute, somebody from Duke missed a tackle, and the Notre Dame guy goes about 40 yards for a touchdown, and then that's when the game was over. But, it was a hell of a game.
Hell of a game.
I was rooting like hell for Duke.
And how many times have we seen Coach Elko out-scheme teams he's playing against, right? And we saw it at A&M, and we saw it at Duke, especially his first year.
Well, first of all, he was we all know this. He was just a brilliant defensive coordinator here. That was one of the – is it really that much of a stretch to say maybe Elko, his exit was a reason that A&M underperformed?
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about with the new guy that they brought in, you talk about one guy playing chess and one guy playing checkers. And I have to admit, I didn't watch a lot of Duke football, but I watched that game, and I think we can all agree that Duke didn't have the same caliber of athletes as Notre Dame.
I think,
and dang near beat them, and probably would have if their quarterback had not gotten hurt.
I think the last time Game Day was here was the A&M Clemson game in 2018.
Really?
I think.
Okay.
And that's correct.
Am I right? Okay, thank you, Nick. That's the last time they were here. And that was a game where A&M had their chances to win.
Yeah, maybe A&M won't just get screwed royally by the officials this time.
Yeah. Not only do they have a chance
Courtney
to
Davis was out, ball was out at the one.
Wasn't that Jimbo's first big game? Not first game, but first big game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
First big game for Mike Elko.
Yep.
So, just saying.
Just saying.
What are we saying?
Just saying.
We're just saying that we're saying.
Yeah.
Olin, appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, so far so good. John Harris, Trisha Ford, Pat Henry. More Pat Henry. Billy Liucci. Luke Hillin, Jace Carter. All that and more. We'll get to your text messages at 979-693-1150. It's TexAgs Radio. So far, so good here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk to the professor, John Harris, joining us here from FootballTakeover.com and Houston Texans sideline reporter. Johnny Harris, good morning, buddy.
Good morning. I love the Counting Crows. Thank you very much. My son would be very, very happy. That's his favorite brand of all time. So,
is that right?
Thank you very much. Yeah,
all right.
Very nice.
We did not know that, but I'm glad it worked out that way.
There you go.
There
you go.
Buddy, we get the schedule released later on today. You excited?
Yes. And it's, I don't know why. I don't know. This one, I guess just because, last year and probably the year before that, I didn't really, I cared because I wanted to know where the bye week was, really. But I knew we weren't going to get any primetime games, or maybe we get one, if that. So it was a little stark last year when all of a sudden you look down and it just said 12 noon every single game. Like, whoa, okay. The league does not believe in us. And then things changed and have changed. And I'm anticipating tonight could be a shock to a lot of people's systems. There's going to be some primetime games, whether they're at home or away. There's going to be obviously a game in Arlington, which I would imagine is going to be a primetime game of a sort. I have thought Thanksgiving all along, but you never know. Every time you think something is dead on, like our buddy and good ag John Lopez was convinced, like he was betting people on the air. Texans are playing the Vikings in London. They're playing the Vikings in London. I knew 2 weeks ago we weren't playing the Vikings in London. And every time I would hear him, I would just go, ay. But, yeah, we're not playing the Vikings in London. Part of that, I think, has to do with the Hall of Fame game and that we accept it. It's the Hall of Fame game in preseason does have to do with the game in London. I think it was like, look, if we're going to have to start the schedule early, sending us to London ain't cool. And I think the NFL agreed with that. But when we were at the Combine, the Vikings people were like, yeah, we're playing you guys in London. So, I don't know. Maybe that's where John got his info from. Either way, we're not going to London, which – that when you see it on the schedule, you're like, okay, this is cool. And then you do that trip and it's like, man, this is grueling. It's fun to go over there, but thankfully this is one of those years we don't go over there because we got plenty of cachet on the schedule already. Obviously, Cowboys in Arlington. We got the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Got to play the Jets and Aaron Rodgers at some point. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers will be there, but we play the Jets in New York. We go to Boston. So we go to New York, Boston, in and around Boston to play the Patriots. But we got some things to overcome on this schedule. We've never beaten the Vikings in our history. We've never beaten the Patriots at Gillette. We've never beaten Lamar Jackson. And we've never beaten the Cowboys in Arlington. So we got a lot of things we got to overcome on this schedule. But it's definitely going to be sexy, that's for sure.
Johnny, back to the London comment for a moment. I went with you on that trip. I was on the team plane. That was That's the only trip in my ABC 13/TexAgs life that I can remember. I think TexAgs once or twice at SEC Media Days, where I actually stayed out past 9 p.m. I actually enjoyed every moment of London. That was such a cool trip for me, and it was a cool experience. So I agree with you, though. It was such a grueling experience because we were there, 36 hours, 40, whatever it was. It was quick.
Yeah. Maybe that. We left on a Thursday. Now, teams are trying to decide, Jacksonville is going to get back-to-back games there. And where that came back to haunt them last year was when they were going into week 3. So they were going over there week 4 and 5. And they had us week 3 in Jacksonville. And I listened to the press conference. Not one question was about us. Not one. It was all about, hey, you're getting ready for London, London this, London that. And we snuck up and beat them by 23 in their place and put up 37 on them. And so they've got that same 2-week thing in London. Now, we went on Thursday, and we left Thursday, I don't remember what time. We basically arrived Friday morning and went to the hotel, went from that to practice. Then we went from practice, we had to go straight to radio. It wasn't until Saturday morning that we kind of caught our breath, and then was able to go with Mark over to a Fulham game. This time they were in a championship. They weren't in Premier League, but they were in a championship at that point. But we had great box seats, and it was such an experience to go see, English soccer. That was so freaking cool. Then the game next day, and all of a sudden you're on a plane. It's 9 hours back, and you're like, whoa. Yeah, it was it was one of my favorite trips of all time. But man, it is grueling. So long and tough.
If you remember, I believe the Astros were losing to the Nationals as we were loading that plane. I believe that's how it worked out. It was kind of in that same day.
I think you're right. Yeah, because I went to Game 6. My daughter, my good friend John Schriever, who worked our ticket from the beginning, worked our ticket world from the beginning. I mean, he was great. He just retired last August, I think it was. He just walks up to me in the cafeteria. He's like, "Hey, you like baseball?" Well, yeah. He goes, "You want to go to the game tonight?" I'm like, "What? Do I want to go to the game tonight? What game?" He's like, "Game 6. Go see the Astros win the World Series." I'm like, "Of course." And so I ended up taking my daughter to that game, Game 6, and thinking, all right, they're going to win the World Series. This is going to be awesome. You know, a day later, going to end up going, getting on a plane and going to London. So that was a Tuesday night. They lost Game 6. Went home like Wednesday. They lose Game 7, and then we got on a plane Thursday and took off for London. So that was a wild week back in 2019 for sure. But that was 5 years ago. So I don't know what our next international one is. I got a feeling they'll send us to Mexico City at some point because that's kind of our. I don't know where the organization. The NFL has different areas of the world that teams are connected to, and Mexico City are connected to us. But they've had to do some work at Estadio Azteca. So I don't know when that'll be done, but my guess is that we'll eventually go back down there and play a game down in Mexico City when they open that stadium back up.
Hey, let's talk a little A&M. It was announced yesterday, College Gameday, coming here for that game against Notre Dame. Cool event. Have you ever been to a College Gameday experience? I mean, you've been in the NFL for so long, I doubt it, but maybe?
Yeah. I mean, Gameday's been around, David. I've been around. I've seen some things. I got some rings around the tree trunk, Yeah, when I lived in Jacksonville, I went to plenty of game days that were at the University of Florida. I mean, I remember we went in 90, I know 96 they had it on campus, and it's a wild scene. And at that point, game day was still relatively new. The first time that game day ever went on campus was 93 when Notre Dame played Florida State, and they were 1-2 in the country. And they were on campus for the first time, and they loved it. So they're like, "Hey, let's continue this." So when I was going, this was back in 1996. It was a while back. So they really, it was a bit still at that point, kind of organic. They were still kind of figuring out. I don't think Coach did the headgear and all that. So we would stick around and kind of watch it for a little bit, and then we'd kind of move on. But I remember being at University of Florida for it a couple of times. I want to say in 99 when Tennessee played Florida, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Early in September, Tennessee's coming off the national championship. They're playing in Gainesville. They're playing at 7:30 at night, and it's still 95 degrees and like 100% humidity. And they're NFL players all over the place. They're NFL players on the sideline. It was incredible. And I want to say Game Day was there for that. And it was an unbelievable afternoon. So I think it's awesome that they're going to kick it off. Now, I don't know if they're going to do like a week 0 game or whatever. So I would hope that's the first game day of the year because it's a great place to do it. Nick Saban will be on the stage. So he'll have obviously some SEC intel and knowledge about the Aggies and be able to share that. So that'll be kind of cool. It just makes that such an event. And then, of course, the Irish coming in. And David, I had this question. I was trying to figure out the last time I remember Notre Dame playing A&M was a couple of back-to-back Cotton Bowls. Is that correct?
I think that's right.
I can't remember. I remember it was 92, 93. I know the first year, I know Notre Dame put a pretty good number on A&M. The next year, had Leland McElroy caught a hook and ladder, he would have been off, and that might have won the game. I remember that late in the game. That was a heck of a game in that Cotton Bowl. But I don't remember them playing ever since. So it's been a while since those two got on the field. And look, it's A&M's first look at Riley Leonard, start for Notre Dame.
Season opener 2000. I'm just looking it up right
What's
now.
That?
The season opener in 2000 to start
2000.
South Bend. Yep. Notre Dame won that game 24-10. And then they came here in 2001, Johnny. A&M won that game 24-3.
Okay, so 2000, 2001. That's the last time I had a concert. So I love seeing these kind of games. I mean, that day in college football, Dave, it's going to be unbelievable. You're going to start it in the morning with Clemson, Georgia, in Atlanta. Then you've got Miami at Florida And it's always interesting talking to Mark about that, because Mark was the voice of the Hurricanes, and he's like, look, Hurricanes and Seminoles, there's this this respect. Canes and Gators, the Canes hate the Gators. So that's going to be a great one at 2:30. And then obviously a nightcap, Notre Dame taking on Texas A&M. So I hope to be in the building for that one. My guess is we'll have a bye week that week. So that's going to be one heck of a weekend of college football. So I am looking forward to that one. And it's a great test for both sides, to be honest. You know, Notre Dame is losing both their starting tackles, both top 2-round tackles. They've got one of the defensive players of the year in Xavier Watts playing at safety. They've got one of the best corners in the country, Benjamin Morrison. Howard Cross is one of the better defensive tackles. He's kind of he's like a shorter, smaller version of Justin Matabike. So A&M's going to get tested right off the bat. Connor Wigman's going to get tested against that secondary right off the bat. But Riley Leonard's playing his first game for Notre Dame against that A&M defense. And I'm excited to see that. There's so many storylines with that one. You know, Elko in his first game. You know, Riley Leonard in his first game for Notre Dame. You know, what does Marcus Freeman have? You know, is he going to be on the hot seat? You know, Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame lose that game right off the bat. Well, he's going to take some heat because I don't think it's been all the way there for Notre Dame like it probably could have been. So we'll see how that all turns out. But man, that's one hell of a way to start the season, especially a year in which A&M, you know, starts the year with Notre Dame and then is going to play the University of Texas at some point in the same year, not to mention a full SEC schedule. So it's one hell of a schedule for the Aggies this year, and it's going to be really cool to see. It's kind of like for the Texans. The Texans have one hell of a schedule too. It makes every single week difficult and stressful and tough, but it's sexy as hell.
Johnny, when it comes to Riley Leonard, you know, we were having a discussion about him on the show yesterday with Tom Hart. What makes him dangerous? Is he overrated? Is he underrated? Is there still not enough information because he only played such a small part of last season? What do you think about Riley Leonard?
Well, I think Leonard, when fully healthy, he's a problem because of the way he can get out of the pocket. I mean, you see him, he's kind of long and gangly, and you're like, you know. But then you watch him and you're on the field with him, and he's pulling away from you as a defender. And I've seen that plenty of times. But he can zip it now. He can throw it and get it in the tight spots. I don't think he threw it very well last year before he was hurt. But when you want to create a play, he's going to create a play. And that's going to be interesting to see how they factor that into the Notre Dame offense, which obviously has a new offensive coordinator. Gerard Parker ended up taking the Troy job. So it's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate his legs into the game. But every time he goes back to pass, there's got to be somebody accounting for Riley Leonard at all points, because if linebackers aren't spying on him, he's going to take off every time he sees man coverage, and he's going to burn you. Now, I don't think he throws it exceptionally well, but because of his athleticism, and David, by the way, he is one hell of a basketball player. He is a tremendous basketball player. In fact, he thought he was going to go to Duke and play basketball, but he decided to focus on football and thought that was probably a better future for him, which is right. But he was a great basketball player. So he's got quickness. He's got agility. He's tougher than you would think. I just don't think he throws it all that well. So the good thing about facing Riley Leonard in the first game is, you don't know exactly how it'll fit into the Notre Dame offense, but you do have a while to game plan for his escapability. And that's a great thing if you're Mike Elko and that defensive staff, that you have that much time to be able to prepare. And, oh, by the way, if there's anybody that's going to know Riley Leonard.
Did you finish your statement?
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I felt like
look,
you were going high, and then it came to a halt.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know, like a mic drop moment. Like, if anybody's going to know him, it's Mike Elko. Boom.
Drop.
You know, it's like the Barack Obama, like, mic drop, you know?
Hey,
yeah, I mean, if anybody's going to know him, Mike Elko better know him.
Well, not only will he know him, but I also, I know this talking season, Johnny, and I know that people have their, when you start going on the circuit, you're rallying the troops, you're telling people, the State of the Union address. One of the things that Coach Elko has said on a couple different occasions on these coaches' night is that this might be the best defense he's coached at Texas A&M. Now, that's tall orders, especially considering some of the defenses he's had here. So when you look, it's very hard to, be able to figure out what a defense is going to look like with all these new pieces, a new coach. But from the pieces they have, what do you think about that defense?
I think it's going to be an attacking group. I mean, it's going to be smart. I felt like in 2022 when DJ took over, when I would watch the defense, I get so frustrated. And you could tell that they were kind of swimming. Like, I would watch Edge Cooper, and I'm like, he's swimming. Like, he's not totally sure of himself. It didn't feel like that defense was totally sure of itself. But I feel like this group is going to have – there's going to be some kind of carryover from a couple of years ago when Elko was the defense coordinator. So there's going to be some of that. But I think also when you're good up front, I think that just – and not just good, but you have the opportunity to be dominant up front. I think that just gives you that much more confidence in what you can do. You know, obviously, you know, York has to take another step, but I feel like he'll do that. And I think he can be one of the better linebackers in the SEC. I think the secondary has got to replace some guys that were experienced, but I think they're going to be upgrades at those particular positions. So to me, it comes back to the front, though. I think he's really confident. You know, the first thing that I remembered seeing when he spoke after the spring game or the end of spring, he talked about the front. He talked about Nick Scarton, and he talked about what he can bring. And it was like, okay, he recognizes what, and he should, what he's got up front. And I just think that coaches, when they look at their defense, if they've got a great secondary, okay, that's great. But the front is not great, they won't speak of their defense that way. But if the front is good, and I'm talking first-round draft picks on the front type good, oh, yeah, you can feel very, very confident because that's going to travel with you wherever you go. And to have that, I think that's what, to me, drives his confidence in that defense. Because I mean, he's had good fronts before at A&M, but I feel like his scheme, his coaching, their player development made that front better. I think he's walking into a situation where now he's got talent. They can continue to develop them and then spring them loose, you know, on a Notre Dame team. Again, think about it. Think about how good A&M is on the edge. You have Notre Dame breaking in 2 new starting tackles week 1. That's going to be a tough nut to crack for Notre Dame, that's for sure.
Johnny, I want to close out with an NFL question. What kind of partnership and what do you think about Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury working together and what Cliff can do with Jaden?
I think it'll be fun at first, but here's the thing about Cliff, and I hope history changes because I like Cliff. You know, he's a coach's kid. You know, he's a Texas guy. You know, I like Cliff. Always have. You know, Cliff is not real cocky. You know, he's just really kind of understated, believe it or not. But it's just the ladies love him. So there's that. But anyways, I think it's going to go well to a point. Teams start figuring that offense out or realizing, hey, he's not going to run the ball. They're not going to run the ball here. They're just not going to do it. Let's play nickel. Let's play dime. And then eventually that secondary starts shutting down all the short throws, rallying to the ball, and they realize there's just not an emphasis put on punching people in the mouth. And so when you play them as a defense, you're not scared of them. Now, Jaden Daniels, with his ability to run, okay, that's going to add a whole different wrinkle. They do have some weapons. Terry McLaurin, I think, is one of the better receivers in the league. And I think that's going to be a big weapon for Jaden Daniels, obviously. But Jaden's going to take off a lot. And I think to get a kind of a read on what you're in for, go look at what the Cardinals were doing the last couple of years with Kyler Murray. It was just joining all over the place. You would see one play and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then you watch him over and over and over again. You're like, man, what are they doing? So hopefully Cliff's learned a little bit. I think it's going to be a pretty good marriage at first. And it all depend on, at that point, okay, how is this offense's effectiveness with what they're doing and what Jaden Daniels thinks he can do? And is too much going to be put on him right away? I think Cliff's going to have his hands full with that, but they're going to shock some people early on. But eventually, people start catching up to Cliff. Go look at the history. Early in the season, always good. Early in the career, always good. But as time goes on, second half of seasons, second, third, fourth year, not as good, not as good, not as good. So that's one thing that Cliff's going to have to overcome. And I don't know that you can be all that confident in that. But Jane Daniels, pretty damn good. That's going to help.
Johnny, great stuff as always, buddy. Thank you so much. Mic drop.
Love you, man. See you.
Love you,
Giggle.
man. That's my guy.
Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say giggle. We're family, buddy. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Trisha Ford, talk about the regional this weekend. But right now, we're talking about Hush and Whisper, the innovative distillery cocktail lounge to defy convention and distill true to grain to glass spirits. So I just found out there was a press release that came out yesterday. Just six months after opening their door, Hush and Whisper spirits are already recognized for exemplary craftsmanship. So in the American Distilling Institute. And Brian's own Hush and Whisper Distilling outperformed its competition to medal with each product entered out there. The original gin earned the gold medal and the best category award. Classic gin, its primary flavor from juniper, is often described as London Dry. And they're just one of the industry leaders out there. And they're doing it right here in the Brazos Valley. They prepare botanicals by hand for each batch of their gin using mortar and pestle, crack open. It's just put it this way. A lot of stuff in this release. It's the place to go, and they're already being honored for it. You can schedule a tour there on Thursdays. You might be able to see and smell the gin in front of you as you order a Gordon's Cup from the bar out there. It is the place to go in the Brazos Valley. Hush and Whisper Spirits. It's fantastic. They've got ability to reserve a tour. You can do a tasting. You can do both. You can book an event. You can come in for a cocktail or a mocktail. Check out the website, hushandwhisper.com. They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 219 North Main Street there in the Verisco building. Again, just 6 months after opening their doors, they're getting honored there from the American Distilling Institute, getting some big-time awards. You should go check it out. Hush and Whisper, the website, hushandwhisper.com. 5 in the background, a little Dolly Parton there. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Trisha Ford's in the house. Hello.
Howdy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. Getting ready to play some softball.
I told you this was coming.
Yes, you did.
So, a couple things. Super excited you're hosting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think you got host. I know you can't get into it, but I'm just going to tell you, just look at the numbers, look at the metrics, look at the results. You guys got hosed, and other teams didn't. So, welcome to the studio.
Yes, excited though. I am excited. That we're hosting postseason softball at Davis Diamond. So at the end of the day, we have to win. And so our brand, we're in year 2 here. We got to continue to grow this brand and win more softball games. But we're hosting, and we have a tough regional ahead of us. So I'm excited.
Can you explain, because I don't really know how they go about seeding, and it's like, from what you know.
Yeah, I think that's where the biggest frustration lies, is just they use different metrics every year and they weigh them differently. And so I think as a coach, because we're scheduling, our schedule for next year is pretty much already done. And so if we knew scheduling going in, like, okay, we're going to take non-conference strength of schedule, that's going to be our number 1 parameter. Top 25 wins, which was the strongest parameter last year, it wasn't this year. And so for me, it's just keeping that consistent and just being very transparent. Like, hey, these are the 4 factors that are going to weigh heavy on us. These are kind of the order that we're going to look at them. We were told KPI was going to be a big thing this year. It wasn't a thing at all. And so, that's what you're just really looking for, is that transparency of and consistency.
It sounds very similar to what I've heard on the basketball side a couple of times. Like, it's just... And then you evolve, right? Because you see what they went for last year, and then you kind of hope that it mirrors the next year, and then it changes.
Yes, and that's, our top 25 wins was really good. We did a great job in that kind of quadrant. And then 1 through 50 quadrant, we did even better. And so I felt really good about kind of where we were. Obviously, the committee felt differently, but at the end of the day, they felt differently, but still gave us a top 16 seed. So, I just told the girls, like, hey, let's go out, let's play softball. We got a tough regional ahead of us. Let's focus our energy there, and then we'll just keep getting better every year and kind of force their hand.
All 13 teams made the tournament, and then you consider the teams coming next year. They're obviously highly ranked as well. What a great year for the SEC.
Yeah, it is the best conference. It's not only the best conference from a talent standpoint, but also preparing you for postseason. So I think they do a tremendous job. If any of y'all watched the conference tournament, they did a tremendous job of hosting that. You have all of the ESPN talent. Amanda Scarborough was there. Tori Vidalis was there. And so, it's their run before kind of the Women's College World Series. So just hands down the best conference out there, and they run it truly first class.
Well, let's talk about the tournament. Obviously, success to start it off. Just your thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, I think, it was a little difficult in the fact of weather, which you can't control, right? And so we sat for a couple of days. We were supposed to play South Carolina originally a day earlier, ended up having to double dip on Friday. But South Carolina, close game. Coco came through huge for us in that series. But what also set that up is kind of the people coming before her, getting on base. Our short game was good. Emily Kennedy settled in really nicely, ended up with double-digit strikeouts, and so then had a game wait, and then had to take on Florida for the 4th time, and it felt like 3 days. So the Florida game was really close. We went back and forth, and then at the end they kind of took the lead and held it.
Yeah, let's talk about that South Carolina game, though, sandwiched in between of what that kind of means to the program, especially heading into the regional.
Yeah, so it's the farthest we've ever made it. And so I think that win was huge. And for me, it's really about the seniors and then the build out of this program. And meaning, like, you don't know if you've never been. And so now they've been there, they've won, what were quarterfinals, and so for me it was just getting them to learn how to win in that stage through that kind of process of our championship tournament. So just hopefully get better and better and be a staple in those games.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That was one of the things I was talking to Tori about. Like, I feel like as you guys continue to build the brand, you might get, I don't want to say the benefit of the doubt, but you might get the credit you deserve when seeding comes.
Absolutely, yeah. And you just have to continue to put out a good product year in and year out.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Can you tell me about the teams that are coming? Because we were talking at the break. It's it's not easy.
Yeah. So
it's not supposed to be either, but still.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're supposed to have the toughest regional. And so University of Albany is who we open up with. They obviously won their conference. They just have a solid attack from top to bottom, have 2 pitchers that have primarily soaked up most of their innings. Then you have Penn State, who was apparently one of the last ones in, which is crazy because they're freshman pitchers on the top 25 watch list. But again, somebody that, can, attack us from a short game, long ball. And then you have Texas State, which we're very familiar with. I feel like we play them about 6 times a year. But they have a pitcher, Jessica Mullins, who's a finalist for the USA softball top 25. She leads the nation in wins this year, and I think she's in the top 10 or 15 in ERA. So we're gonna have our hands full, but that's all right. That's you got to beat the good ones in order to get to the promised land.
Does your approach change in postseason? I assume your approach is probably the same, but maybe strategy-wise, how do things alter?
Yeah, I'm a pretty regimented person, and that's kind of how we run our program. For us, it's just doing the things we do really well. I think our short game has really improved this last probably week and a half, 2 weeks, 2 weekend series. That's been huge for us. We've played clean defense. Pitching wise, I think there's some things that we can clean up that I think we'll definitely get better at. But for me, it's really just executing and playing our game. When we play our game, I feel like we can play with anybody in the country. And if you look at our record, it shows that. Yeah. We've had so many one-run losses. And so just going out and playing Aggie softball.
I'm going to ask you an obvious question, but what are you hearing about the weather?
Oh, yeah. I try not to pay attention to it. Thursday is going to be a little hard, but that's going to be just a practice day. And then Friday, we'll kind of play it by ear. The good thing is we're at Davis Diamond. We have the best field staff, I think, around. So they're going to be ready, and we'll just have to kind of maneuver through.
Talked about the importance of Brooke and Emily and Shaylee all really having to take a big cog in this.
Yeah, I think, obviously they've done a much better job these last couple of weeks. Levitt especially, Emily Levitt has been able to come in and just hit her spots and change speeds. That's what she's really good at doing. And so she's done a great job. Shaylee's starting to come back to us. But she, like I said, just going out there and competing and giving Emily Kennedy some support. And I think they've done a tremendous job. Brooke has been kind of the dark horse. And for me, that's somebody that has been around this game for so many years. And I told her, I'm like, hey, you keep staying ready, stay ready, be ready to go. And she did and came out against Florida and did a tremendous job.
Last thing for you. You like where you're at right now?
I do.
Yeah?
I do.
Yeah.
I love it here.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the vibe, the team.
Oh, absolutely.
Entering the regional.
We're in a great place, and we got a little chip on our shoulder. We play better when
I know that, yeah.
we play better there. So
isn't that the weird thing? Like you want to get the credit, but at the same time, like, all right, I'm better now. I'm more focused.
Yeah. Yep.
If that's even possible.
Yes.
Trisha, I appreciate you. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. All right, we'll come back with Pat Henry here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, a moment from Milliken Reserve, a farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. And they've done that by creating a sanctuary for family, for nature, and for each other. 2,600 acres of open space. They've got 30 miles of trails. They've got beautiful homes out there. They want to connect families to nature and to each other. They have a beautiful network of trails throughout a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths, creeks and ponds, and gathering areas out there. And all the animals you can imagine you can see there at Milliken Reserve. White-tailed deer, songbirds, rabbits, turtles out there. And homeowners at Milliken Reserve sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you're coming back to that pristine countryside place. The website is millikenreserve.com. Again, that website, millikenreserve.com. All right, so on campus you've got men's golf, women's golf killing it, right? You've got tennis killing it on both sides. You've got softball. You got baseball with a huge series. And this man to my left here leading the way for the track and field team. It's now time for our weekly conversation with Pat Henry, brought to you by the Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store. Save 10% in store when you mention the code TexAgs10. Check out the location there at Century Square. Coach Henry, how are you, sir?
Doing real well. Doing real well. And those guys are good over there,
aren't they?
They're good. They'll help you with your feet. Go see them.
So Gainesville, what a fun event.
We got a guy sitting over here that made a difference. But yeah, I mean, our people competed at as high a level as we have. We got beat. It looked like it came down to the mile relay, but it never comes down to the mile relay. That's just the last event. There's so many other things going on. We have so many events, so many disciplines that something can happen good and something can happen not as good as you want it to happen, and it changes everything right at the end of the contest. So.
Will you tell me every year when we talk about this that like this is the premier event?
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to win the national championship.
Yep.
But if you don't, you don't get through this animal, which is the SEC,
yeah.
Then it's all for nothing.
Yeah, this one almost beats you up so much that you worry about going forward from this point because, as Eric will tell you, this is track's opportunity to be a team. I mean, be a big team and be a team that's trying to beat everybody else in the conference. And everybody comes to the meet thinking that way, and it's about winning this thing, and that's what makes it fun.
Well, the men finished third, women finished fourth, which to me means that's third and fourth in the country because that's what you get in the SECs.
That's what it is, and on the men's side, it came down to 3 and 4 points, and so a great finish. We got beat in the 4x4 right at the end of the meet. Had we won it would have made a difference. But we got beat by some people that ran 2:59.
Right.
And we ran 3 flat. So we can run, we can win that race, we can beat those people, but we did not do it on that night. We got kind of caught up in a couple situations within the race. We're as good as anybody out there. We just got to do it on the right day.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's talk about some of the winners out there. You had Sam, who we had him on recently. Yeah. He's just killing it.
Yeah, Sam Whitmarsh is doing a great job. He's been consistent. He's tough. He's healthy. Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better situation with Sam.
Yeah, and then Leanna Davidson, who we talk about often, A, because I know her because she worked here, and B, because all she does is just win.
Yeah, the pressure was on. She was getting beat by our own, and she stepped up and won it on her last throw. So that tells you an awful lot about a young lady.
Yeah, we're talking about gold medals, by the way.
That's
Heather
right.
also in the pole vault.
Heather has been very consistent for us. She's got to clear the next bar to be successful at the national championships, and I think she has the opportunity to. It's just whether she can do it or not. And this one was a test.
Victor, there in the 3K steeplechase, also with a gold medal.
Yeah, and we didn't. There was some question whether I was going to let him run. He had missed a couple training sessions. He has a little bit of an issue with growing. And so, you don't take a chance on hurting somebody at the conference meet to give up the national championship. Right. He's leading. I think he's second in the country in the steeple right now, and he's run very fast. So, but he wanted to contribute. He wanted to be part of the team. So he put it out there, and he ran fast and just ran hard enough to win it.
Yeah, really phenomenal performance out there. Can we, for a moment, talk about this gentleman right here, Eric?
But,
and I know he's got questions for you in a minute, but I knew that he did well, and then there's more to that, right?
Yeah, it looked like it was coming down to the last couple of events. The 5K is right before the 4x4, and so we're warming up on a upper field, and I'm walking between the upper field and the track, and Eric's coming down because he's fixing to run the 5K. And we meet each other, and both guys, all three of the guys, and I told them that they are the guys that are going to make a difference. And if you have got to make a difference. Right. You have got to line it up, and you have got to get this done here today, and you got to put it on the line, and you got to run the best race you've ever run in your life. Eric and I looked each other in the eye, and he responded, and he did a tremendous job. He's our new school record holder at 5K, and I can't say enough about the guy sitting just 20 feet away from me.
How was it, man? We talked a little bit, but we haven't really got into depth. How was that whole experience?
Yeah. I'm glad we were able to save it for Wednesday, but yeah, I mean, Coach, you know that the 10K didn't go as what we planned.
That's right.
And it was a tough night. And I think that's what's so difficult about our sport is having the ability to shake a bad race off and move on to the next one. And I knew that I couldn't let a race like the 10K define, who I am in the 5K. And the 5K is the confidence that I built up this season. This is what I've been training for. And I knew that the team relied on me. I knew you put the pressure on me. Yeah. So I had to go out there and perform well for the team. And I'd been telling Coach Henry and Coach McGraven these past few weeks is man, I've been 1-2 seconds off my PR every race in the 5K. I just haven't broken out yet. So I was hoping it was coming at a good time, and it was a perfect time to come in the 5K when the team needed it the most. So
yeah, the pressure was on.
How much has he grown?
In height?
No, well, we know that's going to take a while as an athlete.
No, he's he continues to grow, but he's done a good job. He's maturing. He's able to talk a little bit more about his abilities and his inabilities, and he's able to put those things together, because you got to talk about what you can't do right along with the things that you do right, and that makes for an athlete who's going to get better all the time.
Before we hit a break, let's do one more gold medal, and then we'll go through some more. And I know he's got some questions for you. Tamara Chapman in the heptathlon, also gold medal.
Yeah, and she's leading the country, and coming into the meet, she's leading the country, and she scores 6,100 points, and that shows a level of consistency that she needs to do to be the national champion. And she beat a good field, but she's going to have to beat a great field at the next one.
Great stuff, Coach. We'll come back with more. We're going to come back with our track spotlight, brought to you by Schulte Roofing. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Track Program Spotlight brought to you by Schulte Roofing. Schulte Roofing, an award-winning roofing company that provides industrial, commercial, residential services to Belleville, Brenham, Bryan, College Station, Conroe, Montgomery, Navasota, San Antonio, the Woodlands, and surrounding counties. They're home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee, the absolute best roofing system, roof installation warranty, and 100% satisfaction guarantee or your money back.
You know, I had to put a new roof on my home about 3-4 months ago.
Yeah?
Those guys are who they are.
They're great, aren't they?
No, they're really good, and they come back, and if you got an issue, they're back up on the roof, and those guys are good.
Yeah, they are fantastic. You were noticing at the break the big scar on my neck.
It's like your wife got a hold of you.
Well, and my daughters can't even look at me like, what is wrong with you, Dad? Like, why do you go to jiu-jitsu class? I'm like,
what are they using, ropes in that thing or something?
No.
Looks like you got hung.
No, I think it was the dude's fingernails. Clean up, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's allow Eric Casares at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center to get some questions in, because there's still a lot to unpack from this past weekend and the future.
Yeah, Coach. So I would argue that this is probably the best team that we have had since I've been here, at least my 5 years here at A&M. Yeah. Does it in any way feel like that maybe this could be a blessing in disguise, knowing that, yeah, ultimately we didn't get an SEC championship, but we still have a really good chance to win the national championship?
Yeah, I very seldom will I talk about winning the national championship, because I think, you got to be in the mix. We're in the mix. If you're in the mix, then you got an opportunity, and I'll kind of look at it that way. But I do think this is a very good group. This is a very competitive group of people, and we have an opportunity, and we got to take advantage of that opportunity, and that starts this next week.
And it does start. Eric?
And talk about the difficulty in these championship meets to double up, do multiple events, because as you know, there's always prelims, finals, so having to be your best at different moments.
Yeah, are you talking about coming up or what we just did?
Or I guess
any athlete.
Any athlete, yeah.
Yeah.
Any athlete.
Some people have the ability to do that and others don't. Some people can carry that load and some people can't. Some people have the mental abilities to do it and some people can't, because most of the time it's not physical, it's mental.
Coach Henry, what's the schedule like now as you prepare for the regionals?
We're training pretty good. We're training pretty hard still. We leave, and the NCAA gets mad if I call it regional, or anybody calls it regional.
Preliminary
First round.
Yeah. First round.
And it is. It's first round. It's qualifying round. We take 48 athletes. This is one half of the country. We're the west half, and almost every SEC school is in the east region. We're in the west region.
Is that an advantage, or is that just it is what it is?
No, it is, because, the marks are very similar whether it's east or west. The performance levels are about the same. You take 48 athletes in the 5,000. Mm-hmm. Let's just say the 5,000. We're going to get down to 12. 12 will go after this weekend. After next weekend, we'll advance to Eugene.
Yep.
Yeah. So in every discipline, every event, we go down to 12 athletes. There's no final here. Like Eric could be running in a race and he's looking around to see if he's in the top 12.
Wow. Yeah.
And lots of things can happen in that scenario.
And then, I assume you need to be your best on that day.
Oh, well, absolutely.
But how do you be your best on that day and still be even better when you make it to the next one?
Well, the competition and the level of competition normally brings it out in an individual. Mm-hmm. Anytime you step, I don't think it's any different than a football team playing. I wouldn't say, but the difference between playing somebody and playing, say, Alabama.
Right.
Your expectations for your game come up when you're playing somebody like that. Same thing in our sport. Your expectations for yourself when you're running against somebody that's better than you, or is perceived to be better than you, or has had a faster time than you. You better step it up or it's over.
we're about to hit a break, but I'm looking at here 13 personal bests recently.
Yeah.
You gotta love the direction you're trending.
Yeah. And when you do it at that meet, that's significant. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that people recognize what you just said there. You're doing it when it matters. It's one thing to PR early in the season.
Yeah.
It's another thing to do it when it matters the most.
Yeah, and there are athletes in every sport that when they can do it at certain times, but when you have to do it, that's a different athlete.
Yep.
That's a different athlete. And you find out who those people are in this scenario. There's nothing wrong with that athlete who can't do it at that time. You don't want them on your team, but you want athletes who can hit it when it's supposed to be hit.
Coach Henry, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Eric, congrats, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I knew you were a big deal, but I don't like talking about it. All right. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Billy Liucci will be here in studio at some point. We'll get to talk to some football and get some baseball thoughts as well as TexAgs Radio. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Got a fun hour planned for you. Billy will be in studio here momentarily. We'll chit-chat with Billy about all things going on A&M football-wise, and we've got a couple different topics I want to get into, and also baseball, obviously, with the Arkansas series coming up. So we'll do that. We'll also talk to Luke Hillin and Jace Carter at the end of the hour. Looking forward to chatting with them about basketball. Coach Buzz Williams has some camps coming up here at the end of May, early June that we'll discuss. And so a lot of good stuff here, and we'll talk to Jason a little bit about his offseason, that and more. But right now, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Eric Casares, who it was weird bragging about you in the last segment. It's just weird to do that. But right now, you've got some reports for us, including golf.
Yeah, so we've been talking about all the great teams that the Aggies have right now. And obviously, you know, golf is in the midst of their season right now. Regional championship up in Stanford, Palo Alto. And that's kicking off today. It's resuming at 10 a.m. We are going to find out if they're going to advance to the national championship. They're looking really good right now. Thanks to GolfStat, I'm able to get updates right now. So we'll do our best to update y'all during the show. But right now, they're sitting in third behind Illinois and Florida State, Ole Miss and SMU Trail right now. And the top 5 teams will advance to the national championship. So best of luck to them, and they're going to be kicking off action here at 10 a.m., so very soon.
10 a.m. start. You said they are third, and I believe everybody had a good day for them yesterday.
Yep, everybody had a good day for them yesterday. They were the only team to have all 5 golfers shoot in the 60s in Tuesday's round through 36 holes. They have accounted for 6 of the 18 Eagles recorded at the regional site.
Awesome. What else do you have for us, Eric?
Yeah, so I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I was looking at some of around the SEC projecting the top 10 quarterbacks during the 2024 college football season. A couple of these SEC guys in here, David. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Number 1, also projected to win the Heisman, Carson Beck out of Georgia. I mean, I think this one's a pretty obvious one. I mean, 3rd nationally, 1st in the SEC in passing yards. 4th in nation completion percentage for his efforts. He was named the coach's all-SEC second-team selection, so had to be the favorite there. I don't think that was a surprise for Carson Beck.
I am interested to see what he's going to do without some of his top weapons, right? Like, I always think that's interesting. But when it comes to Georgia, they're getting the Alabama treatment from me right now, right? Like, they've established a program that they just replenish, and some programs are able to do it. And, Carson Beck, to me, there's some things I still wanted to see from him last year, but, how he evolves without those weapons, to me, is going to be the interesting story. Let me guess, because this may be similar to a list that we did recently. Quinn Ewers, number 2?
Yep, Quinn Ewers, number 2, and that's somebody maybe you have a little bit more confidence they could get it done over a guy like Carson Beck. I mean, he's been here. He's been in this Texas system for a while. And, I mean...
I don't know. Like, I know the Texas people are going to think just because I don't know, like, before last season, how many big games did Sark win? He gets credit for last year, right? There's no doubt about it. He does also benefit, I believe, from a pretty easy SEC schedule compared to what we saw in the West the last few years, right? So there's a little bit of that. Yeah, they get Michigan, but they're not getting the same Michigan team that won the national championship. They do host Georgia, but of course they're hosting Georgia. You compare their schedule to Oklahoma, it's night and day. But that being said, Quinn Ewers is a top quarterback. There's no doubt about it. He's got some weapons. They've got talent all around. They should be really good. He would probably be in my top 3. Yeah, no doubt. So I'd say he's number 2. Tell me Jackson Dart is 3.
He is 3, and I know you've been high on Ole Miss, so there you go, David.
I'm high on Ole Miss, and not because I want to be high on Ole Miss. I would prefer them to have a rough year. That being said, Jackson Dart's a good quarterback. They've got a lot of weapons out there, and Lane Kiffin can coach, guys. I know he bugs us. He's a good offensive coach.
This next one is non-SEC, number 4. Could you guess it?
Non-SEC. Let's think. All right. Not the dude in Miami.
He's a transfer. I'll give you a hint.
He's a transfer? Who is it?
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel. Okay.
For Oregon. Yep.
Okay. Look, at Oregon, they got weapons. They have a good system. I'm not surprised by that. I think I could see Dylan Gabriel being there. Yeah, that's a good one.
Another one. We're going back to SEC. Top 5. You know this one very well.
Jalen Milroe.
Yep, you got it.
It had to be Jalen Milroe. And the interesting part about Jalen Milroe is if you ask insiders, they're not guaranteeing he's the starter all season long, which is interesting, right? Because you get a new head coach in Kalen DeBoer. Here's the thing about Jalen Milroe. People wanted to bury him last year, and they tried to. And people weren't sure, and I wasn't sure what kind of quarterback he was going to be at Alabama based on what I had seen the year prior, right? The limited sample size. That kid just evolves and got good and got really good. He should absolutely be there in the top 5.
Didn't he get benched like one random game in the middle of the season? And it was just like, and then we thought we were going to get a better evaluation of the other quarterback, and then he just wasn't ready, and then he came back in the next game. Or I can't think. I'll have to research that, but I know he did get benched.
He
one
definitely
game
got benched, but for the reasons, it kind of depends. All right, let's do another one.
Okay, number 6. Who do you think it is? It's okay, non-SEC, Pac-12. Or I guess they're moving now, so. But Colorado, Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur Sanders, really? Are you serious?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. They got him number 6, which honestly is surprising. I think he'll have to develop a little bit more. And honestly, if he wants to be one of the top quarterbacks in next year's NFL
draft. Is this
draft,
Heisman odds or is this ranking quarterbacks?
No, this is predicting top 10 quarterbacks during the
Okay.
2024 college football season. Yep.
And whose list is this?
This is. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh man,
I just had his name.
We're crediting. Is it a person?
Yes, Piquel.
Oh, J.D. Piquel.
Yeah, J.D. Piquel. Yeah,
J.D. Piquel. Okay. Okay. Look, I don't know. I wish I wasn't so anti-Deion. I mean, because there is an entertainment value that he brings, but I'm just anti what they're doing there. I just don't like it.
I think polarizing is a good word to describe
Polarizing.
Deion Sanders.
Great word.
Yeah.
Polarizing.
Number 7, Cam Ward, Miami.
Yeah, I've seen him listed everywhere, and I get it, the transfer. So I get that. Is Connor Wegman on the list at all?
He's not 8, he's not 9, and he's not 10. No, he is not on the list.
All right, I'm gonna have J.D. Piquel on the show and chit chat with him.
There you go.
With that, Billy Liucci in studio here on a Wednesday morning here at 10:07. Hello, Billy.
David, what's up?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. A couple things I want to get into. I want to talk a little Elko with you because Coach's Night brought up some talking points. I kind of hinted it earlier, but he made a comment that I really he talked about this could be the best defense I've ever coached.
By the way, if you're another website and you don't have someone there, quit stealing the Elko quotes that Zane went and got personally, that we paid for him to go to that.
What site's doing that?
I don't even know what it is. Zane sent it to me today.
Okay.
It's not one of the major ones, but
I feel like I should make a phone call.
By major, I mean network.
It's
not one of the network ones is what I mean, but I don't feel like there is a major site. We feel like we are. But
we're the site.
I mean, here's what I ask for. When we break something, credit us. Don't be a little you know what and wait a few hours so everybody else talks about it so you don't have to credit us. There's one entity in particular a little closer to home that has done that repeatedly over the years. I think it's disgusting. And then number 2, go send somebody there to cover it. Do it yourself.
Or just credit.
Doing. Or credit, exactly. Or credit.
Hey, TexAgs is
it's simple. You're right, because some people don't have the resources to go Fort Worth, Dallas. That's fine, and that I totally get that. But again, like you said, credit if someone's going to go and do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's it.
Well,
that was it. That's all I had to say on that.
Well, I feel like I need to make
because
a phone
they
call.
listen. No, you don't need to make a phone call.
I like doing that.
But they listen and they know and they get half their crap from what we talk about on here. It's like their little roadmap. So
we're everybody's show prep. That's what we are. Anyway,
that's fine.
Hey, so I wanted to get to that defensive comment because he's made it a couple different times.
Speaking
about
of defensive comments.
Defensive comment.
Or offensive, whichever you want to call it.
He has made the comment of this could be, and of course, the word is could be, chance to be the best coach, the best team I've coached in Aggie land. Hey, just David Nuño. I like him.
Sorry, David.
It's all right.
I'm looking something up to answer your question.
But,
so go ahead.
And he went on to say on the secondary, which this is where I'm really excited. I feel really good about. We've made tremendous strides in the secondary, and we expect that group to be really, really good when talking about this. So I'm putting both of those together, Billy, as we talk about the defense, because obviously we are very excited about the defensive front, but the secondary was really the biggest question mark last year. They have revamped the secondary. They put Bryce Anderson back in a role that he's very what they recruited him to be. They brought in some new names, and if he says that about some of the defenses he's had here, I know it's talking season, but it does make me feel very optimistic based on what his words are.
There's no question about it. And look, he is the one, he has proven to you time and time again already. And if you know him personally, it's even more magnified, but he is not just going to sit there and it's all sunshine and roses every time he gets up there. He's going to be honest. He's going to tell you what his concerns are. He's going to tell you what weaknesses are. He's going to tell you where they performed well, where they didn't. He's going to occasionally send a message, I think, to his players, through the media. Like he is not going to always be complimentary. And so when he gives that type of praise to his side of the ball, which I think he's going to be even harder on, I know he is, in terms of like how he judges and rates them, then you better listen. And it means something. And yeah, they brought back Bryce and per Elko, who I trust, he's playing his much more natural and optimal position as a safety. And they brought back Tyreek Chappelle. So they brought back 2 guys off the secondary, and quite frankly, they brought back the 2 best guys off that secondary from last year. So if you said, who are the 2 best, let's keep them, it was those 2. And then you added a starter from UAB that they really liked, and B.J. Mays, who had a good spring. They added a starter from a Big 12 championship team in Will Lee at Kansas State. They added a 5-star from Alabama who hasn't even practiced, who was backing up 2 high-round NFL draft picks this past season and probably starts for the Tide this year. And then they added a 5-star in Terry Bussey, who's not here yet, who he spoke about again last night, kind of saying, hey, give him some time. But they did add, essentially they're adding 2 5-star cornerbacks to what we saw this spring. On top of what we saw this spring, they're adding 2 more 5-star cornerbacks. They're adding a guy from Central Michigan, and Troy Jones, who's played a ton of football, who missed, I think, the entirety of the spring. So those 3 guys are coming in that weren't even available yet. On top of everyone we said, they're really excited about Dalton Brooks. They brought in Ratcliffe and Saunders. That's a big corner and a big safety. And those guys showed well this spring. So I understand
his optimism,
why he's excited and why he thinks they could have a major upgrade at that position. And if I left anybody off, don't overread that, because I was just going off the top of my head right there.
Well, maybe I shouldn't go this direction after that comment.
Jared Kerr is another one that I may have forgotten.
But I feel, and tell me if you see this comparison a little bit.
Javon Thomas.
I feel like if you listen to Elko, it's like listening to Billy Liucci. What I mean by that is sometimes you tell us without telling us stuff. There have been times he has said stuff in press conferences, and then a couple of weeks later, things play out a certain way. And I feel like just listen to what he says. He's not going to BS you.
And when he talks about his defenses at A&M, and everybody goes, man, okay. They got better as he was here. But I'll give you an example of his first defense when he got here. They didn't have they never could quite get over the hump in the secondary. When he left, he had a young Damani and Leon. Maybe Leon was getting a little older, but he had a couple, good safeties.
Damani was young.
They had good safeties, but they weren't fast, cover a ton of ground safeties. They just weren't. They were big, physical, and they helped you win some games because of that. But they weren't fast fast safeties. And maybe they could line up and run it fast, but with pads on, there are guys that had more range. It wasn't their strength. Let's put it that way. They had strengths. I don't think range was necessarily strengths for them. But that was what they built up to. So I'm looking at like his first defense here. Safeties were, I'm going to start with the biggest name, and a couple of the best players were Donovan Wilson, exceptional. And then at linebacker, I thought they had a really good setup with Buddy Johnson, Otaro Alaka, and Tyrell Dodson. That's where they were strong.
Yeah.
Those guys were really good. And then, but look at the secondary. You had Charles Oliver, backed up by Ronnie Elam, Debian Renfro, backed up by Clifford Chatham, then Donovan, Deshaun Capers-Smith, a true freshman in Leon, Derek Tucker, and Keldrick Carper. A lot of those guys didn't even finish their college careers, much less at A&M. And the only one out of that entire group that played it down in the NFL is obviously Donovan Wilson. So that secondary, that's what was year one. And And then D-line, that's where you're strong. But you had a true freshman, Bobby Brown. You had Kingsley Kiki, Dalen Mack, Matabike, Landis Durham, who they turned into a borderline all-SEC performer. Okay, that D-line was strong. Well, guess what he's got this year coming in? He's got a really strong, actually really experienced defensive line. And he's got, I think, a ton more to work with on the back end. Now, at linebacker, it's not what he walked into here. But Torian York he'd fit in with that group.
Yeah.
And then you brought in a guy from Pitt who, in a perfect world, fits into that group as well. Certainly. I mean, he was a player that, like I've said before, he was one of the top players on defense for a defensive head coach in a Power 5 conference. So the thought is he walks in here and you might have two real high-end starters at linebacker.
Yeah. I want to bring up one other quote that he had, and I think it's more for us oldies to just move on from the tired talking points about NIL and players getting paid and yada, yada, yada. Elko yesterday said, I think NIL is part of the game. What we Aggies have to understand is it's not going anywhere. Just like we have stepped up to fill Kyle Field and build facilities for our student athletes, we need to step up and raise money for NIL. This is the game now. Instead of complaining about the game, this is the game. Let's be the best we can be playing this game.
He's done a great job of delivering that message within his building to the right donors, like that top, 2% of the A&M donor base, which is where most of that money comes from. But then there's also the other, let's call it 95%. Maybe the top 5 is where he's really, he does a great job, not just of, hey, yeah, we need more money. He really is committed and to putting in the time. He's flown quietly to all parts of the state. These are not just coaches' nights. There's dinners where people are buying spots at these dinners for a good amount of money, and then it's fundraisers. He's met one-on-one throughout the spring with some of the most prominent donors, whether it's in his office, whether it's for dinner, or whether it's for 2, 3, 4 hour dinners. I mean, that's what he's doing regularly, and he's putting in the work along with coaching and stuff. And that message has also been sent throughout the building from his right hand group all the way down throughout the entire staff, all the way through recruiting and everything. And they live that over there and breathe it. And he's trying to get the A&M fan base to understand the sense of urgency here because, yeah, it is the new reality of college athletics. Now, look, it's going to happen, and I told you, and I've been telling you, go read all the articles from Dellinger and who's the best and work your way down. You can go skip right through a couple of them, but start with Dellinger, work your way down. I mean, I've been telling you for a long time, this is coming much sooner than people think. That lawsuit is going to be resolved much sooner than people think.
In the next couple weeks.
And that 2025, next football season.
It'll be the new world.
I think I'm almost 100% certain of that. And by new world, I mean you'll be paying players through athletics. Trev said it at his press conference, in the neighborhood of $20 million a year. So only the schools around the country, A&M can do that. There might be about 40 schools that can do that. Some of these other ones are going to have decisions to make because it doesn't matter how you spread that money. The Title IX stuff involves scholarship allocation. That money, like X percent, is going to go to football unless you don't have football. So there's going to be schools that go, man, we could field every other sport and get rid of football because if you're going to put that kind of price tag on it, it's unsustainable for us, or doesn't make good business. And some schools are going to drop football. Not anybody noteworthy, but some of the schools that you and I don't talk about that occasionally pop up on the A&M schedule, whatever, they'll drop football. So times are changing, but even when that happens, David, there's still going to be some NIL component. Like if TexAgs or if, Traditions or the Dixie Chicken or whoever, if they want to pay Connor Wigman or, Noah Thomas or whoever, Torian York, to come and promote their product, their brand, their business, they're not going to be able to say no if it's legitimate promotion. And then, those businesses get to decide what that's worth to them and what value that has and what they want to pay. So there's still going to be that. It's not going away.
So this is on top of that.
But that the athletes are going to benefit more, and the athletic departments are going to have to figure out, we just added a $20 million expense with no extra revenue out of this.
Right.
Where do we cut? And that's going to be, just be real honest, man. That's going to be employees in sports or in some form or fashion for every school. Again, I'll say this. The good thing is we cover, and I'm sitting here talking on the radio about Texas A&M. They're on the very short list of schools that can survive and thrive and continue to thrive, and maybe thrive more if you're starting to see this, disintegration in some of the competition, and then it's just a smaller and smaller group that can truly thrive.
Well, one of the things in Ross's most recent report is they're going to try.
Who's?
Huh? Ross Dellinger's report.
I thought you were going to help Bjork.
No, Ross Dellinger's most recent report is like they do want to get away from the way these athletes are getting paid NIL that aren't what you just talked about, right? Like but I don't know if there's any way ever.
Yeah, it's very hard. And they're going to, look, the other thing they're going to try to do is pass laws. I don't know if he wrote about this, but they're going to try to pass
legislation
across the board, where every state has the same, has the exact same legislation.
Yeah.
So everything to be uniform. And that's what I truly believe they need to do anyway. It sounds like it'd be hard, but it doesn't seem like they believe it is. That part, I think, will absolutely happen.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more with Billy. I want to talk some baseball, and we'll have some basketball thoughts to get into as well, because we're going to be joined by Jace Carter here and Luke Hillin in just a little bit. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them at Highway 21 in Caldwell and online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. They have amazing deals that start on the website, but really the experience starts when you walk in to Caldwell Country Chevrolet with all their awesome inventory, the great people that work there. The entire process for you is going to be top-notch. I've done it. I know many people have done it as well. When you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet, you're going to get great customer service, great trade-in value, and great pricing on your vehicle. That's the beauty of Caldwell Country Chevrolet. We bought a vehicle there a couple years ago, and it was an awesome process. Got our Tahoe, and it has been just it's been perfect for our family and our family needs. And they helped us through the entire process, and you can do the same thing. It's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the very edge of Bryan, to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. I didn't read the full article, Billy, but I did read Dabo Swinney talking a little bit about how this new world of college football, he doesn't like that they may do away with walk-ons. Have you heard stuff about how they could be expanding scholarships and whatnot?
Where they could be not expanding, but cutting and making I don't believe that's going to involve expanding scholarships.
Okay.
To where there are no walk-ons. I think that's actually the result is going to be your roster only has 85 people instead of 105.
Gotcha. So
it's the opposite. It's going to be cut down.
For a place like A&M, that's rich tradition in walk-ons and whatnot. That's the unfortunate of the business that is the direction it's going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you can thank the NCAA, and I do think on a level greed. I get it with the athletes, the actual athletes playing, and don't kid yourself. There's a lot of greed there too, and you've created it though as the sport or college athletics to say, hey, 18 to 21-year-olds and their families and these greedy agents come in, and sure, like you can get. It's like telling you got 4 kids and a wife, and y'all both work to provide for your family. It'd be like me telling you, hey, man, or someone telling you, hey, go to TexAgs and just as often as you want, demand more money. And you could also just, there's a market where every single, but see, in the real world, that doesn't work.
That doesn't work.
In the real world, you get told, hey, sorry, we don't have any more. If there's something better for you, go. We've done all we can, or we're paying you what you're worth, or whatever that may be. Pro sports, it's the same way. Or you wear out your welcome and they say, hey, man, obviously you don't think this is good enough. Hit the bricks. Good luck to you.
Yep.
And that's the real world. And these guys are not being introduced to the real world. And so I'm torn because I know what really goes on everywhere. And it's crazy. I can't imagine being a coach. But on the flip side, I also know how long and how many athletes over the course of time have made so much money. The most famous example is the Johnny Netflix, and that's what they were painting with that. And then he and guys like Reggie Bush and, Vince Young at Texas, like how much money, Ricky Williams, do these guys, like how much money could Dat Wynn have made at A&M?
Right.
How much money could Mike Evans have made at A&M? You could go back though, Quentin Coriat, Greg Hill, Sam Adams, like how much, you can go back as far as you want to go at every school. And these universities and these athletic departments, they have made billions of dollars without the athletes getting, they've gotten a scholarship. And that's more than you got, and that's more than I got. Mm-hmm. Billions of dollars, though, without them essentially getting anything outside of a scholarship. And again, I say, but I lived with those athletes. Those were my roommates in college when they were getting a $600 a semester, or whatever it was. Maybe it was $600 a month. And we would live 2-bedroom apartment, 4 of us, so they could save money on rent because they had no money for even just beer and movies. So I get it, but now you've gone too far extreme the other way, where you literally got every program has athletes holding coaches and programs hostage, not to the point of getting fair market value, but to the point of really leveraging and using the situation and not really caring about where you play. And that's why I think Elko's done a tremendous job, because I think if you really peel back the layers, he has been on the side of his players, but also gotten them to understand reason, what's within reason, understand, hey, you're agreeing to this, let's ride, understanding also that, hey, there's more to it. You have an NFL future. You have your degree. But, yeah, you also got NIL, and you need to capitalize on that. I'm here for you on that. I think he's done a great job. And the reason I say that, is because I kind of know his approach to it. He doesn't want it to be a taboo subject within their building, within their locker room. They joke about it. They talk about it. It's not like something that never comes up until the kid goes in pissed off or saying, "Hey, man, Miami offered me this much. I'm going." And then you have to fight. They're out in front of it. And I think the other reason I say that is because look at the results.
Right.
Look at that spring portal, man. Look at that spring portal. There's a couple guys that left that mattered. And the guys that left it's not, is it rude to say they didn't matter? I meant they didn't matter in terms they weren't going to factor into playing time. So they made good decisions for themselves. There's a couple at most that mattered. And in the grand scheme of things, they really didn't because they didn't want to.
Yeah.
So I think the spring portal was incredible for A&M. Now, I think the one thing they would have loved to have done is add another receiver to that haul, one of the high-end guys, but that didn't happen. But outside of that, in terms of like what they kept, it tells you that they've got a really good grasp on messaging and understanding by the players. And I'm not saying a bunch of them are going to come back next year and it's going to be the same thing over again. You just have to roll through it again.
All right, let's hit a break here. I do see a couple of guests in the lobby. We'll discuss. Do we bring them in next? Probably. We'll talk about that here.
Yeah, I was about to say I have no idea who that is. Now I just looked out there and realized.
Yeah, we'll hit a break here. Time for Rollo Insurance. They are the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They are an independent insurance company built around educating you on what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They can write any form of insurance to anybody in the great state of Texas. They've got 53 offices in the great state of Texas, right? But the best thing about them is they're local. They're right here. You can talk to Jackson. You can talk to Jason. You can talk to Keith. You can talk to Morgan. You can talk to the whole crew here. You'll see them all around town. They'll take care of you. You can call them during tough times. You can talk to them about your upcoming situations. You got kids about to start driving. You got yourself a speeding ticket. What's your next option? They'll do it all for you, and they're going to find you the best solution out there. Their headquarters is on Highway 6 right here in College Station. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. A couple of minutes with Billy before we bring on Luke Hillin and Jace Carter here to talk about Buzz Williams camps and a little bit about the offseason. Billy, you won't be here to talk about it tomorrow, so we'll just kind of give a quick preview of the Thursday game, if we get a game with the weather. But the series coming, how important it is to their postseason, not lives, but like, look, we want to ensure their top 8 national seed, which I think they are going to be, but they still got a little bit of work to do.
I think they're going to be. I think but look, you're playing a great team. If you got swept at home and went 0-2 in Hoover, then you're probably not going to be. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this series is going to go 2-1 either way. I could just as easily see A&M winning it. Arkansas has a huge edge with Hagen Smith, but look at Ryan Prager's numbers. I mean, Hagen Smith is obviously the strikeout guy. He's this year's Paul Skeens.
Yep.
I don't think he has quite that stuff, but he is this year's Paul Skeens in college baseball. But look at Prager's numbers, man. He's at almost 100-10 strikeouts, walks. He's damn near 10-1 on that, about 9-1, and look at his record, his ERA. So you can win that first game, and you can win it 4-2. You could win it, who knows what can happen. But they've got a huge edge in every 3-game series with that guy on the bump. I'm glad the Aggies have a guy in Prager that can sit there and give you a real chance to upset them and to win it. That there aren't very few pitchers and lineups that can be a threat to that guy. And this team checks both those boxes. So you have a chance to win every game. I think the Aggies will end up winning this home series 2-1. But if they lost it 2-1, do you have to get a win in Hoover to keep a top 8 seed? I don't think so. I think getting 18 wins. They're at 17 right now, right? Or are they at 16?
I think 17.
Yeah, 17-10. Yeah. If they can get 18 wins in this conference, along with an undefeated non-conference, some of the series wins they had, the RPI where it's at, and even where it'll be at when you play Arkansas, even going 1-2, I think they'll finish probably in the top 2, no worse than top 3 RPI. Hell, maybe 1, who knows? But I think they'll have a great chance to host a super if they get 1. I think they will. But man, I'm be honest. You can win this series 2-1 and go up to Hoover and go 2-2,
right,
or whatever it is. I don't know what point it gets to be single elimination. Maybe you'd go 2-1 up there, whatever and then you're 4-2 against Arkansas and 3 teams in the SEC between now and then. You'd probably be a top 3 overall seed.
Yeah.
And so there's a ton to play for. Obviously, if they sweep, they'll win the West. There's a ton to play for. But I think the biggest thing is, to set the stage where you can play at Bluebell Park all the way to Omaha, because we know that's any team's best bet, but it certainly feels like this team's best chance. And because they're so good at home with that wind and some of the – I heard, this is what I was told, that Thursday when they were practicing, they were hitting – balls, they lost like 75 baseballs Thursday in Oxford, just launching pad.
Yeah.
And then the winds came through and were blowing in from left field across to right, and it was a totally different ball game that weekend. That's just not bad luck. Both teams played in it, but that hurts A&M because they're such a power-based lineup. Here they won't have that issue as much. They might this weekend. You got a random front coming through, but I expect these to be lower scoring games, which is what Arkansas typically plays in. But it's the first order of business is that. The other order of business, David, is something we've all talked about. It's getting momentum back. It's getting those guys feeling good at the plate. It's getting the pitcher's confidence up. This time a year ago, they started pitching freaking lights out for a couple weeks. And it wasn't there all year, and all of a sudden it was. So it's about getting momentum and confidence going, not just with your individual players, but with the entire dugout and locker room. And so those are the 2 main priorities this weekend. I think even more so than an SEC West title.
Thank you, Billy. Appreciate you. Coming back, we'll have Luke Hillin and Jace Carter in studio. That and more. It's TexAgs. I got to tell you, did some really good work because I love talking Aggie basketball, and I love talking about the men that play for that program. We got Luke Hillin, Chief of Staff, with us. We've got Jace Carter in the house. I'm going to brag about him for a second, but this goes on for, I think, all the players you guys have. He met my daughter at an event when you guys were at Big Shots a couple weeks ago. He told her, I don't handshake, I do hugs. And my daughter, for sure. Yeah. She has the biggest crush on him. She turned so red, and he made her week. She has bragged about that picture. Jace is always so polite. You guys, you guys get good men that come play here.
We do. Of all the things that Coach Williams does well, I think that's at the top of the list. Is since he's been here, the quality of humans that we've had on our roster is top of the line. And so I think that it's a little bit of, guys like that are probably drawn a little bit more to what we do. We love having guys like Jace and honestly the whole roster. Yeah. But your story like that, everybody on the roster, somebody around town or somebody in the community has a similar story. I mean, we're really proud of the way they handle themselves in the community. So,
Jace, I assume that's part of the reason you picked A&M is just the family vibe that's here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely it sticks out. On my visit, it was something that kind of, if you're not in the loop, you feel a little like overwhelmed just because everyone's so close and everyone's. There's no lies, there's no secrets. Everyone's very open and honest with each other, and ultimately that's why I wanted to be around, and that's why I'm here.
All right, so Hop was telling me the camps are coming up here starting May 29th, Youth Day Camp 1. You've got one on the 11th starting. You've got the Skills Camp middle of first week of June, and then on the 25th. Talk to us a little bit about it, Luke, what Coach Williams is trying to have done for these kids.
Yeah, so, the biggest thing with summer camps, we want to give people in the community, people around the state, an opportunity to come and experience a little bit of what being an Aggie is like, being an Aggie basketball player, being a part of our program. And so have 2 opportunities for younger kids, 2nd through 6th grade, and then 2 opportunities for the older kids, 7th, middle school and high school, basically. And, basically what we try to do is give those kids in a brief 3-day period the experience of being an Aggie basketball player, going through drills and stuff like that the actual team does in practice. We'll have the players out there. Jace will be out there. Wade Taylor, his favorite part of the year, I think, is summer camps. I mean, when we posted the little graphic on Twitter, he texted me immediately, like, Luke, I'm in. I'm going to be there the whole time. And so it's just an opportunity for kids, not just Bryan College Station, but Houston, Dallas, whatever. You can come in. We start late enough to where you can get into town and get back out of town. It's only 3 days, but give kids an opportunity to see a little bit of what it's like and go through routine and have some fun with their friends too. Play some games. Just enjoy the game of basketball. Learn a little bit, but it's not overwhelming. It's just fun. So,
hey, Luke, I know that the conference schedule or the opponents just came out a couple days ago. We did a report on it. I just want to know, have you or the staff talked to Jace about A&M Texas that will happen next year?
So it's funny, Coach Williams, I think it was Coach Williams' first year, we played Texas up in Fort Worth, and it was the same situation then. Everybody on the roster had not had the opportunity to play Texas, and so I got up in front of the team and, like you're saying, I got up and kind of fired them up a little bit about the rivalry and what it means to play Texas and how exciting it is for I grew up in Houston and, just going to school, hey, are you an Aggie or a Longhorn, stuff like that. And so we're excited for the opportunity to play them twice and get a win in Austin and a win in College Station. But yeah, we'll definitely we'll get more in depth on it when we get closer to it. But it's something that will be brought up, and it means a lot to Coach. It's a big deal to all of us. So
I see it in your face. It's a big deal to you already, right?
Yeah, we ready to play. I mean, I'm ready to play yesterday.
Right.
We're just excited. It's 2 great teams that are added to our conference, and to have them in Texas, it's a big deal. My natural thing is I just go like this, and every time somebody be like, "What are you doing?"
No, you can't do that.
So right. I'm learning about it. I've learned about it over the past year, and I'm excited to get over there and have them come down here so we can play them.
Let's talk about your growth this year, Jace, because I saw it, and really I think the Nebraska game might be like a kind of a microcosm of your time at A&M so far, where like it took a minute, and then you just found this hot streak there. Is that how it's kind of felt?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I took last year as a learning period for me. I'm coming from a mid-major school in Chicago, and most people I played in front of was maybe 300, 400 people. So just learning, being around Coach Buzz and the players, they were all, 2 years being with Buzz and having that experience. I was just trying to learn, and sometimes I'm out there just happy, just playing, and you start worrying about, I probably shouldn't have took that shot, or I probably should have did this a little bit better. So just learning. I definitely feel like the Nebraska game was good for me, just because I feel like I struggled a little bit the games before. But I'm excited for the future, and I feel like we have a really good opportunity and a really good team coming into next year.
Hey, Luke, we talked about it out in the hallway, but in this crazy era of the transfer portal and so many players coming and going, y'all actually have a really solid nucleus of players coming back. Just tell us about kind of just in general the expectations for next year, and also the 3 or 4 newcomers that are coming in next year.
Yeah, we're extremely excited. I would say, from the time the buzzer went off in the Houston game and the NCAA tournament, we've been excited about this year. You look at any kind of breakdown of teams going into next year and at the power conference level, and we're at the top of the list in terms of returning production. And that's a testament to what Nuño was saying and Jace was saying. It's our atmosphere and our environment. It's what we're built on is that family, mentality, and we're going to bring guys back and kind of keep that cohesion. But really excited about the group we have coming back, really excited about, the growth of all of them. And then the new transfers we're adding in, the freshmen coming in are going to fit in seamlessly. I mean, they're going to show up at the end of this month to start with summer workouts and summer school, and we're excited to get them here. But it's the same thing like when we brought Jason at this time last year. We already have a really good feel for what we're getting with those guys that are coming in. They fit what we're about. They fit what Coach Williams is about, and they fit a lot of needs on the basketball court too. In terms of replacing Boots is impossible. Nobody's going to replace Boots, but with what we've got coming in, we're really excited about as a whole what we'll have on the court next year.
But the success rate you guys have too with transfers, it doesn't always happen. I mean, think about it: Boots, Henry, Jace, Dexter. You've had so many guys. Anderson, excuse me. Like it doesn't always work, right? Yeah. And for you guys, I think you've hit on your transfers. Like it got to go into the scouting of the men.
We've got a really, really elite coaching staff. I don't do anything with basketball or anything like that. I try to just handle everything behind the scenes and off the court. But from Coach Williams to Coach Rock, Coach Johnson, Coach Wolf, those guys, I mean, they're elite at what they do in recruiting and on the floor, everything. And so TJ Ryan, our director of scouting, those guys can, whether it's watch tape, look at the numbers, do the breakdowns, all of that, they have a really, really good feel and a good plan going into, when we're in the season, the transfer portal is already open and rolling. And the deeper we play into the postseason, the teams that have already lost are ahead of us in the transfer portal. And so those guys do a great job of being prepared, being ready, being on top of it. And we go into that cycle with a plan, and it has paid off. They've done a great job.
Jace, we only got about a minute and a half left. So for you, I heard him talking about the camps and then Wade and you wanting to be involved. You like helping kids, don't you?
I love it. Actually, shout out to Ellie. I'm wearing her bracelets. She gave me when I met her in the Bahamas, or before we left for the Bahamas on our at Buzz's Bunch. So shout out to her and her people. I know they're probably at the house chilling. But I love it, just to be able to connect with kids. And I remember being a kid and wanting to have that, like, oh, I met so and so. I'm from a small town in Florida, and we don't really have a lot of stuff going on down there. So I love being able to give back and just connect with people and let them know that it's possible. Whatever you want to do is possible, and just be consistent and keep going. So I love summer camps. I'm the same way. How 4 is, I'm the same way.
Yeah. Luke, if people want to register, they just go to the website?
Yeah, AggieBasketballCamp.com. It's extremely straightforward. It's simple. We'd love to have, if you have a kid, if you have a grandchild, nephew, niece, whatever, that's able to make it into town for summer camps, we'd love to have them, show them a good time.
Also I think we're going to put up a story with a link to the camp registration as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hey, can you put in a good word with me with Buzz? I want to work out with him in the morning sometime, all right? That guy is jacked.
Are you an early bird?
I am an early bird.
You got to get up early for that.
I'm in.
Y'all saw the picture? Were you in the picture?
Yeah. Buzz be lifting now.
He lifts more than everybody in the program.
He be lifting.
Everybody in the program.
He be lifting. Shout out to Buzz, man. I know he's probably going early this morning, so shout out to him.
Thank you both of you. Appreciate you coming in.
For sure.
Thanks, guys.
Anytime.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Wednesday. Got a packed show for you planned for tomorrow. I don't have it in front of me, so just trust me. It'll be good. We'll see you mañana.